live stream. Hello. Setting up for today's episode of the Unfilter Show.
Oh!
Yes. This is episode 267. I am turning the knobs, adjusting the dials, and pushing all of the buttons. Getting this ready. Stand by. Hello, Discord room. Hello, IRC room. It's good to see you guys in there already hop-a-lopping. Love to see that. Could see a little more action over there at IRC room. What's going on? Nobody likes the Unfilter IRC room, and it's right. It's cool. We got a bot, but other than that, we got a party in the Discord room. Discord.me/JupiterColony. If you'd like to get involved, discord.me/JupiterColony, and then there is a dedicated Unfilter room.
Fascinating.
And you are welcome. You are welcome to come in there and hang out with us. Just always keep an eye out for old Anderson Cooper.
Oh my gosh, it's Anderson Cooper, everybody!
All right. Mr. Chase is en route, so it's just about time for us to kick off the OT.
I say Boulder Dash.
So we're going to kick off overtime here in just a moment, after I take care of just a couple more studio things. It's a quiet day here in the Studs. Just sort of a rainy, quiet day. I just got back from a canonical event in downtown Seattle all week. My first day back in the studio is here to do Unfilter. I'm glad you guys are here. We're going to get started. Just uno momento. All right, yeah, we got a lot of stuff to cover today, so I should probably get going sooner than later, too. Yeah, we got cookies over there. That's true. We have cookies. Look at that. Boom. All right, so I got to just double check my framing here. So this is the full screen button. Well, I think that looks legit, actually. I think that looks pretty good. All right. Ooh, well then. Oh, interesting. It auto triggers when I... And what happens if I... Huh. Oh, Plasma Desktop. You guys can't see all the magical... I'm hitting magical key commands. I'm just taking a stab in the dark. I'm using Dragon Player. I guess I might as well tell you this, just in case something weird happens during the show. I'm using Dragon Player, and I'm on the Plasma Desktop. And instead of using GNOME MPV, which I've been using, I think, for over a year to do this show, I will be using Dragon Player to play back all the clips. So, wish me luck. First Unfilter under the Plasma Desktop, but I think it should go well. Of course, those could be my famous last words. You just never know. Anyways, overtime coming up, and then Mr. Chase will get here, and we'll start the main show. So stand by one. It's really the best part of the show, isn't it? Whew! Now that those jerks are out of here, the show can really start. It's time for overtime.
I know that each of you understand you have the power. Say woke!
Who, me? Little old me? You think I got the power? No, it's our patrons that have the power. Thank you to our 3 new subscribers, Adam M., William M., and Lapix. I like that. Are you a Steven Universe viewer, Lapix? Thank you for our new patrons, patreon.com/unfilter. Almighty 3 of you. Repping the support, staying woke. Patreon.com/unfilter. Okay. So I thought, you know what? Let's go classic this week. You know me. I love getting into Oh Nancy right here in the top of the overtime. Shakes it up. It's totally different from the rest of the show. And it's such a good cross-examination at what is inherently wrong and rotting about the Democratic Party and why they were losing elections like maniacs for years. Let's start with what brought me to Nancy and my analysis of Nancy to begin with. And it's her habit of reading right over the applause line, stumbling right through her script where her aides have clearly marked applause here, Nancy. But she just bulldozes right over it because she's scrambling to keep her mind working. And then, after she reads a little bit further, it triggers in her mind. Oh, shoot, they told me. They said, oh, Nancy, when you go out there, Nancy, make sure you wait for the applause. They must have the respect. And so Nancy pauses, and she tells the audience, please clap.
I first want to pay tribute to the sponsors of the resolution, Congresswoman Lynn Jenkins, Congressman Whip Steny Hoyer, Senator Roberts, and Senator Leahy. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership in getting this done so expeditiously. It is fitting that was an applause line for our sponsors.
Please clap. Yeah.
He healed from the grave wounds sustained while risking his life for a fellow soldier and decided to come to Congress and to serve the people of Kansas here.
Not Canada. No, not Canada.
It gives my colleagues in the House and me great deep pride to know that Senator Bob Dole first served in Washington as a member of the House of Representatives. That could be an applause line, but I guess not.
Okay, there we go. Let's keep moving on, though. You know, it's okay these days, I guess, to ask for a clap. Might have sunk Jeb, but doesn't sink Nancy. She just rolls right over and keeps on chugging along, and I wanted to replay my favorite moment from her interview with Chris Cuomo because, man, if this just wasn't...
Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, obviously, recently selected by President Trump. He got the memo. He could have come out and said, this is reckless, don't release it.
Let me just say this with all due respect. You really don't know what you're talking about right now.
But okay. Did Christopher Wray look at it or no?
I can't say whether he did or not, but he did not. In order to redact, you have to have the people who know the
I'm not saying redact.
Facts.
I'm saying if these concerns are so sharp and obvious.
Well, they've already said not to release it. They already said not to release it. The Justice Department already said it would be reckless to release it. You said that earlier in your
The DOJ said it.
Oh, Nancy. Oh, Nancy. Okay, so I just love that moment. I know I shouldn't just, I shouldn't roll around in it. I shouldn't wallow in it. I shouldn't get hung up on it. Because then I'd be no better than dirty Maxine Waters.
We're only hours away from President Trump's first State of the Union address, but not all lawmakers will be in attendance. A number of Democrats plan to boycott the speech, including Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Congresswoman Waters joins me now from the Capitol. She's a Democrat representing California's 43rd District. Good afternoon, Congresswoman. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
I want to ask you what your reason is for boycotting the president's address. Why not hear him out?
Reclaiming my time. I will not be attending the President's State of the Union this evening because I know so much about this president. I have watched him very thoroughly as he campaigned. I've spent a year fighting him and his practices.
So I don't need to listen.
He's been documented to have told 2,001 lies in 1 year's serving in this country. And so I don't trust him. I don't believe anything that he has to say. And there's no reason for me to sit there and pretend.
You say you don't trust him. The White House says the speech is about unity. Is there anything he could say to you to get you back to the table?
No.
It's not anything you could say. Perhaps there's something he could say.
You know, I think old Nancy there has a hard time listening sometimes. I've got a couple of different clips of her where she just fails to listen. I might save those for you later and put them all together. But I want to move on to something a little more seriously. Hillary Clinton has finally responded. She released a Facebook post, is what the parlance says, to respond to accusations that she knew that someone in her campaign staff was a sexual predator and that she defended that person.
For having me, Brianna.
You recommended to then candidate Clinton, Senator Clinton, that she fire Bernd Strider. Tell us about how this information came to you about what had happened and the case that you made for him to go and ultimately what Clinton decided.
Sure. So a young woman made a complaint to our head of operations about sexual harassment against
This is Hillary Clinton's former presidential campaign manager.
Bernd Strider, someone
Jess O'Connell.
Jess O'Connell, who's now the CEO of the DNC, against Bernd Strider, who she reported to. The incident was brought to my attention, and I did my due diligence. I interviewed all the parties involved. I looked at the evidence. I looked at some emails that he had sent. I had looked at other documents and came to the conclusion that there was sexual harassment involved, that the young woman was very credible, and my recommendation to the senator was to fire her. And I was overruled.
You weren't the only one who recommended it.
She was overruled by Hillary.
Believe this was the right avenue to take?
Correct. Well, there were a few people involved in the investigation, so to speak, but the people involved in it believed he should not be working in our campaign.
So she overruled you personally?
I was overruled, yes.
You were overruled. And what was the reasoning behind not taking your recommendation on that?
I really don't want to...
Well, he was a good friend with Harvey, and he liked to hang out with Bill.
Divulge, my private conversations or my private counsel to Hillary Clinton. Suffice it to say, I believe in a zero-tolerance sexual harassment in the workplace. I believe it now, and I believed it then.
Yeah, and Hillary, she's an old-school gal. She believes in giving him 100 tries. You don't let him try 100 times.
But I also want to say, it wasn't an easy call. None of these calls are easy.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for defending Hillary. Thank you very much. And it seems that perhaps the fact that the media is giving a former Clinton campaign manager who's saying that airtime, that's a significant data point in itself. Not even what she's saying, which is very important, but the fact that they're giving her airtime on CNN. Take that in for a moment, guys. Take that in for a moment. That's big. And then note this reaction to Hillary trying to be hip, funny, and in something that was popular. It doesn't go over well on CNN.
Surprise, it was Hillary Clinton at the Grammys' little cameo last night, in which now you have conservatives saying she's trolling the president. Here's the clip.
He had a long-time fear of being poisoned. One reason why he liked to eat at McDonald's. Nobody knew he was coming, and
Hillary Clinton at the Grammys reading a part of Fire and Fury.
the food was safely pre-made.
That's it. We've got it. That's the one.
You think so?
So that's Hillary reading the excerpt
And
in the book.
What?
And I'll black it up. I think this part. I think this is it right here. In the book, what is put forward is that one of the reasons in his private life that Donald Trump prefers to eat McDonald's is because it is pre-prepared when he arrives. They have no idea he's coming, and it's unlikely that it's been poisoned. I don't know if that's true or not. It seems unlikely, although I could also hear someone saying that offhandedly. Hey, a lot of people hate me and they'd love to poison me. But, that's one of the things that's great about McDonald's. I can go there. They got no idea I'm coming, right? Or, he could, but it's portrayed in the book as if Trump is sitting there shaking. I don't trust anybody. I don't know what to do. I'm afraid I'm going to get poisoned all the time. I can't eat anything because there could be anything in there. So I have to go somewhere like McDonald's or at least they don't even know I'm coming. So they can't poison it because it's pre-made. But that's the version. But who knows really how this secondhand anecdote gets into the book. But of course, that's the part that Hillary gets to read because let's make fun of him for eating McDonald's.
He had a long-time fear of being poisoned. One reason why he liked to eat at McDonald's. Nobody knew he was coming, and the food was safely pre-made.
That's it. We've got it. That's the one.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
The Grammys in the bag?
In the bag.
Funny, not so funny.
I don't think it's that funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's so objectionable, but I don't think it's particularly funny. And I'm guessing you're going to ask about Nikki Haley's
Yeah, let's talk
response.
about Nikki Haley. You thank you for reading my mind. Let me just
Yes,
set it up for everyone
sure.
who, if you don't know, the U.S. ambassador to the UN. Listen, we've all talked about this Michael Wolff Fire and Fury book. There are all kinds of holes and inaccuracies in this whole thing. And yes, that was a fun clip about, brushing his teeth, the president, depending on how you
It actually wasn't the part about brushing his teeth. Are you not listening to your own clips?
feel about the president. But at the same time, Ambassador Haley said Hillary Clinton ruined the Grammys, called the book trash, and music and politics should be separate, which I think on that last point, when have music and politics ever been separate?
Yeah, especially CNN and politics, right? Oh, yeah. But again, another data point, isn't it? Hillary's not being super well received there. In fact, they're even just giving that airtime, right? That to me is an interesting data point in itself. Now let's talk about something that happened around the State of the Union that is sort of it seems to be a pretty strong right or left issue, and it's really unfortunate. I really wish this was one of those things. Of course, yeah, there's so many of them, but this is definitely if I had a top 10 things that I wish weren't divisive, or if they weren't right and left, if I had a top 10 things, it would definitely be
terrorists who do things like place bombs in civilian hospitals.
It would definitely be on the list. Guantanamo Bay should be on this list, but unfortunately, it's become a polarizing right or left issue. Left-leaning politicians and Obama, the president, wanted to shut Guantanamo down. Bush and the Republicans, and now Trump, want to keep Guantanamo going. And with just this yo-yo political ball that keeps going back and forth when real human suffering is involved.
Are evil. When possible, we have no choice but to annihilate them. When necessary, we must be able to detain and question them. But we must be clear. Terrorists are not merely criminals. They are unlawful enemy combatants.
You can see where this is going. And of course, the problem with that statement, on its face, in a simple definition, seems somewhat reasonable. But we both know the problem is the term terrorist is a floating definition. And it seems to be one that is expanding.
And when captured overseas, they should be treated like the terrorists they are. In the past, we have foolishly released hundreds and hundreds of dangerous terrorists, only to meet them again on the battlefield, including the ISIS leader, al-Baghdadi, who we captured, who we had, who we released. So today, I'm keeping another promise. I just signed, prior to walking in, an order directing Secretary Mattis, who is doing a great job. Thank you.
Ad lib. Yeah, ad lib. Great job.
To re-examine our military detention policy and to keep open the detention facilities in Guantanamo Bay.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, let's give that a real hearty round of applause. Yeah, imprisoning people. Indefinite detention.
I'm asking Congress to ensure that in the fight against ISIS and al-Qaeda, we continue to have all necessary power to detain terrorists wherever we chase them down, wherever we find them.
You know, like in the country of the United States of America.
And in many cases, for them, it will now be Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, so that's a thing. So here we go again. Here we go again. Now it's a yin, now it's a yang. And that is also true for how we handle Russia, apparently.
Well, the U.S. is not planning new sanctions against Russia. After releasing a list of prominent Russians said to have close ties to President Putin, the Treasury Department revealed the names last night under a law meant to punish Russia for U.S. election meddling. More than 200 officials and wealthy businessmen are named. Elizabeth Palmer's in Moscow outside the Kremlin, where Putin calls the list a hostile step. Elizabeth, good morning.
Doesn't it seem as if, all of this is a little, all of these sanctions, aren't they a little premature until Bob Mueller's investigation is wrapped up and we have a complete set of findings and perhaps even the House and Senate's investigations? I thought we were a country of laws and due process.
Good morning. President Putin has now reacted to the list. He says it complicates U.S.-Russia ties. And then he joked that he personally was a little offended not to be on it. Seriously, though, there are a lot of high-powered Russians who are relieved this morning, some of them in the offices in the Kremlin behind me. They thought this list might expose embarrassing details either of their political affiliations or of their vast wealth, but it does neither. It's just really a list of names and job titles. It includes obvious Putin allies like the foreign minister Sergei Lavrov and business heavyweights like Hermann Gref, the head of Russia's biggest bank, and Oleg Deripaska, the former business partner of Paul Manafort, President Trump's ex-campaign manager. But there's no singling out of people who are especially close to Putin or especially corrupt. The U.S. Treasury spells out that being on the list does not mean that sanctions will necessarily follow. So the question everybody here is asking is, what exactly is it for? John?
Elizabeth Palmer in Moscow, thanks. You know, the White House says that they don't need to implement sanctions because Moscow is being deterred. But as you know, the CIA director said Moscow is still interfering in American elections. So they're not really being deterred.
Well,
that's his accurate assessment there, isn't it? Well, at least the CBS morning guy has a solid take on everything.
CNN is breaking right now news about a meeting in December between President Trump and the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, the Justice Department official supervising the Mueller probe. Sources say that Rosenstein visited the White House seeking President Trump's support in fighting off document requests from Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee in what Democrats say is an attempt to undermine the FBI and, more broadly, the Mueller investigation. But according to our sources, President Trump was more concerned with other issues, such as Rod Rosenstein's loyalty. CNN's Evan Perez and Pamela Brown join me now. They're breaking this story. And Pamela, the deputy...
That's right. Breaking news from December?
The Attorney General went to the White House in December, and then what happened?
So this was a meeting in the Oval Office in December between President Trump and Rod Rosenstein. Don McGahn, White House counsel, was also there, we're told. And at the time, the intent of this meeting was Rosenstein asking for the president's help to block document demands from House Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes. But sources familiar with this meeting tell us that the president had other things on his mind ahead of Rosenstein's upcoming testimony before a House committee. You may recall that testimony back last December. The president asked Rosenstein where he thought the investigation of links between Russians and his campaign was headed, and he went on to ask whether Rosenstein was, quote, on my team. Now, as a reminder, Rosenstein oversees Mueller's investigation, the Russia investigation. But this is only the latest episode to come to light portraying a president who often asks questions that sometimes crosses a line that presidents traditionally have tried to avoid when dealing with the Justice Department.
Yeah, because they have any fucking idea. They have any idea what kind of conversations Obama had with what was his face during Fast and Furious. What about when Bush was spinning up the NSA surveillance program? Like, they have any idea.
But this exchange could raise further questions about whether Trump was seeking to interfere in the investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller, who was looking into potential collusion by the Trump campaign and obstruction of justice by the White House, Jake.
It's shocking. So the president, according to your sources, asked Rosenstein where the Russia investigation was heading and asked him if he was on his team, asked him for essentially a loyalty oath.
That's right.
Evan Perez, the former FBI director, James Comey, has testified that the president asked him for his loyalty. Did Rosenstein think this was a similar request?
Well, right. We're told that Rosenstein appeared surprised by the president's comments and his questions. He didn't provide any details about the direction of the Russia investigation, but he responded awkwardly to the president's team request. He said, quote, "Of course, we're all on your team, Mr. President." Now, at that December hearing, shortly after this White House meeting that we're talking about, Rosenstein was asked about loyalty pledges. Now, here's what he had to say.
Is it ever appropriate for the President of the United States to demand that Department of Justice official or FBI director take a loyalty pledge?
I don't have any opinion about that, Congressman. Nobody's asked me to take a loyalty pledge other than the oath of office.
And that was December 13th, so he either lied under oath there or something else is going on. Perhaps we will see. We will stay tuned to find out. I want to talk a little bit about, well, I don't want to talk about the Vegas shooting at all, but it's something we need to talk about. And Laura Ingraham has gone to Vegas to be all dramatic about it and tell you a little bit about it.
I'm reporting tonight from Las Vegas, where almost 4 months after the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history, there are still so many unanswered questions. It's bizarre. We made repeated requests to Vegas PD for one law enforcement representative to update us on the investigation on air, of course, into killer Stephen Paddock, and they provided us with only this. It's a terse email from the Public Information Officer, Laura Meltzer, that reads in part, "No one from the LV MPD will be participating in any interviews about the 1 October incident for the Ingraham angle." Oh, thanks. Well, while some new information has trickled out over the last few days, I'd say most of it, when I really read through it, culled through it, only raises more questions. A lawyer for the police department says charges may be coming soon against someone else. And it's stemming from what officers discovered in that Mandalay Bay hotel room on October 1st. Remember, inside they found Paddock dead, his 47 guns, thousands of spent cartridges and other equipment. He had all those bags that he somehow was able to get into the hotel by himself. His girlfriend, Mary Lou Danley, you see her there, who claims no foreknowledge of the shooting spree, has admitted now that her fingerprints are probably on some of the ammo because, get this, she helped load the cartridges. I have other information on her, too. You're not going to want to miss that coming up. Federal court documents that were just made public because the press was pressing for them revealed that the FBI, as early as October 6th, that's just 5 days after the shooting, believed that Danley was the most likely person who aided and abetted Stephen Paddock. So where is she now? Why don't we have more information on this woman? And why were they so eager so early on to say Paddock acted alone? After reporters pressed for the contents of search warrants in the aftermath of these killings, the federal government did release 315 pages of material in the last few days. But the Las Vegas Police Department has basically gone radio silent, citing concerns about the ongoing investigation.
I wonder why that is. Could somebody up above be pressuring them? And who would that be? FBI!
Well, now a federal judge is mulling the request from the Associated Press and the Las Vegas Review-Journal to force the release of search warrant affidavits and other evidence, such as inventories of what was obtained from their searches. Very important. There are many questions that remain unanswered. The Paddock home was ransacked before authorities could return. That was on October 10th. Again, why wasn't that locked down? And what happened to Jesus Campos, the Mandalay Bay security guard who exchanged fire with Paddock and was injured? We saw him on Ellen once and then never again. And where is all the surveillance video of Paddock gambling at the casino, checking in with all those bags, and of anyone entering or leaving his hotel room? Why wouldn't they release that? And why, given all that we're now learning, again, were authorities so quick to declare this a lone wolf shooting with no accomplices?
So let's stop there. She goes on and on if you want to watch more in the supporter sync. And let's talk more about that second man. And it sounds like the way authorities found out about this guy was because there was an Amazon box for him in Paddock's room.
New documents reveal the name of the second person of interest in the Las Vegas shooting. Police believe that Douglas Haig may have conspired with gunman Stephen Paddock, but it is unclear if it's still under investigation. Haig had sold Paddock ammunition the month before the October attack that killed 58 people and wounded hundreds of others.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it was an Amazon box. In fact, I think it's even weirder than that.
Maria Villarreal spoke with Haig for an interview that you'll see only on CBS this morning. Maria, good morning.
Good morning. Doug Haig was contacted just one day after the shooting when investigators found an Amazon box with his address.
Oh, it was an Amazon box. I thought I misread that. Wow.
On it inside Stephen Paddock's Las Vegas hotel room. When we spoke with Haig, he told me he had no idea what Stephen Paddock was planning to do when he met him just a few weeks before the massacre.
I couldn't detect anything wrong with this guy.
Doug Haig says he sold Stephen Paddock 720 rounds of ammunition.
You know, just 720 rounds. He paid a full price for him, just normal.
From his home business.
He told me exactly what he wanted. I handed him a box with the ammunition in it, and
so was it an Amazon box or not? I mean, it sounds like Paddock got to this guy's house. This guy runs his business out of his house. Paddock gets a box. So it must have been one of this guy's Amazon boxes. So the ammo didn't actually come from Amazon. Does Amazon sell ammo? No, I don't think so. I'm going to just guess no. I've never looked. And so this guy, I mean, he must not have suspected anything. Because why else would you wouldn't give a guy a box with your name and address on it if you thought he was going to go shoot people up or even sell ammo to ISIS?
He paid me and he left.
The rounds he sold are called tracer ammunition, bullets that leave a visible trail when fired.
He said he was going to go put on a light show.
You know, who buys tracer ammunition? Who buys that? Discord room, who buys tracer ammunition?
And I can't remember whether he said for or with his friends, but that's what he did say.
But newly released search warrant records filed last fall by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department say Haig may have conspired with Stephen Paddock to commit murder with a deadly weapon. Haig strongly denies that.
I felt that they were hoping that they could find a connection between myself and Paddock that would go back showing that I supplied him with most of his ammunition, possibly even some firearms. They're not going to find it. I talked to the guy 3 times.
It's unclear whether Haig is still a person of interest, but he was the only one mentioned by name in the search warrant other than Mary Lou Danley, Paddock's girlfriend. Authorities have since said they don't plan to bring charges against Danley.
I feel horrible.
Keep going, please.
Haig doesn't blame himself, but within weeks of the massacre, he still decided to shut down his business.
I'm still racking my brain for what did I miss? Why didn't I pick this up?
Haig has not been charged. His attorney says he continues to work with investigators. We did reach out to the FBI and local law enforcement, but neither would comment about this new information because this is still an ongoing investigation.
Isn't that interesting? It's just a crazy turn of events, I suppose, huh? If only there was some sort of agency that was constantly monitoring everyone, who swore to stick with honesty and openness. Wait, what?
Journalists in the U.S. have noticed a quietly made edit to the official mission statement of the National Security Agency online. It turns out the words honesty, trust and openness are now all gone. The old core values used to begin with the word honesty, saying that the American people have placed great trust in the NSA and therefore the agency promises to honour that with openness. Well, now it instead starts with the phrase commitment to service. Here's how the NSA explain the changes.
Commitment to service, respect for the law, integrity, transparency, respect for people, accountability. You might as well go ahead and scratch transparency off that list because nobody is buying that. And I'm going to go ahead and say scratch integrity off. You don't get to choose if you have integrity. You either do or you don't. And because you have had a bit of a history, we'll put a bit of a history, like Lovint, for example, love intelligence, we're going to go ahead and scratch integrity off as well. And because you're constantly violating the fundamental law of our country, the Constitution, let's go ahead and scratch off respect for the law and accountability. So the only thing left on their entire list that is somewhat legitimate is commitment to service. which sounds like an Orwellian justification to do anything in service of your country.
It's nothing more than a website update. That's all it is.
The effort to delete words that are that mean a lot to Americans, such as honesty and transparency and what have you, is something that is important. But if the National Security Agency is deleting it, I think that it means that they're getting more according to reality as to just how these intelligence agencies work. They're not called the deep state for nothing. And the only thing that they did agree that they did keep was the provision of respecting the law, but even there they fudge on that.
Producer Matt produces in the chat room that it's not uncommon to buy like 1,000 rounds if you're going to go out and have some fun, and you just buy up at a few months at a time. He has family that does that. Now that thing about the NSA, I say this. It does matter. And the reason why it does matter, it's more than a website update. The reason why it matters is because a bunch of bureaucrats, I'm trying to be nicer. A bunch of bureaucrats sat around in meetings for probably a absurdly long amount of time to discuss what their core values are. So that way they can put it up on posters, they can email it out to all staff, they can put it up on the website, they put it in the handbook. These are our core values. Anyone who's ever been in a business or in a government institution, this is something that the middle management layer really gets off on. This is like their thing. This is what they're there for, right? Focus the troops, set our mission, get our goals, and then we build everything around this. It's really going to matter, and we're going to put it on a poster. And so if they decided to take honesty and things like that off the list, it does actually kind of matter, especially when you are an institution like the NSA. Speaking of institutions, conservative institution Trey Gowdy announces he is not running for re-election.
Another House Republican joining the growing list of lawmakers who's
growing
leaving
list.
office. Now we have Republican Congressman Trey Gowdy just announced that he will not seek re-election come fall of 2018. The House Oversight Committee chairman is a former federal prosecutor and says, quote, whatever skills I may have are better utilized in a courtroom than in Congress, and I enjoy our justice system more than our political system. Congressman Gowdy made a name for himself running the House Benghazi investigation. Remember this?
Madam Secretary, I understand there are people, frankly, in both parties who have suggested that this investigation is about you. Let me assure you it is not. Madam Secretary, not a single member of this committee signed up to investigate you or your email. We signed up to investigate and therefore honor the lives of 4 people that we sent into a dangerous country. My question is, how did you decide when to invoke a people in process and who just got to come straight to you? Because it looked like certain things got straight to your inbox and the request for more security did not.
Yes, personal email came to my personal account. Work-related email did as well.
Yeah, that was where Trey got his name, but he's actually been pretty fun to watch, even the most recent investigation. So I wouldn't sell him short. He seems to be, as they say, a straight shooter, but actually for real. And I'd say he's one of the better ones on the right and the left. And so one of the better ones, I think, is leaving. And I feel like Trey Gowdy's the kind of guy where some Republican corruption shit was going down. He wouldn't. I don't know if he'd go out there and be making a big media stink about it, but I think he'd still hold their feet to the fire, or he would have. I guess he would have. I suppose he's moving on now. The media has so much to talk about with secret memos and secret societies, lots of secrets, right? Russia investigations, the State of the Union, it's crazy weather all over the place, world events are nuts. Of course, there's the situation going on in Syria. So that's what they're talking about, right? They're all talking about all these different... What? What's that? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm getting a live feed from producer Matt here. He says, no, the Western media isn't talking about the situation in Syria at all. Well, then, I guess we can't update anybody on what's going on with Turkey and... what's that? Oh, RT's covering it.
Washington has accused Turkey of destabilizing northern Syria after Ankara announced it's extending its military operation closer to positions held by US troops in the region. Turkey's operation began last week and is targeting Kurdish militia. Some of the groups are considered a terrorist by Ankara, but allies by Washington. The US State Department has described what is happening in northern Syria as a shame.
People now have to flee an area that was previously considered pretty stable. I mean, what a shame that is. Think about all that this country has been through.
Yeah, it's a real shame. It's a real shame. Why were they there in the first place?
And now we're looking at another disruption in northwestern Syria because Turkey is taking its eye off the ball, ISIS, and going after the PKK at this time.
The weapons have been provided to the YPG by the United States. The promises which have never been kept by the United States since Manbij. Lately, Trump's statements saying that we won't give any weapons to YPG anymore, even as he was saying that we are not giving in last night's telephone conversation, created a trust crisis.
However, the phone call between the Turkish and American presidents mentioned by Ankara's foreign minister there has been viewed differently by the two countries.
President Trump relayed concerns that escalating violence in Afrin, Syria, risks undercutting our shared goals in Syria. He urged Turkey to de-escalate, limit its military actions, and avoid civilian casualties.
The White House statement about the content of the phone call between Trump and Erdogan was probably drafted before the conversation took place, because it did not reflect the truth.
That's quite the statement.
Our Washington correspondent, Samira Khan, looks at the deteriorating relations between the two allies.
No matter how many times Washington says Ankara is its ally, the reality is far from it. As distrust between the two grows stronger, U.S.-Turkish relations are headed south.
Uh-oh.
Turkey is an important NATO ally.
U.S. State
We
Department.
fully understand Turkey's concerns.
America is in the process of creating a terrorist army on our border. America, do not encroach on our borders. Do not provoke us, or we will run out of patience.
You gotta imagine at some point they've got to go this direction. We've been meddling over there, and we're creating a bunch of psychopaths that are armed and trained, and they have equipment, and they have networks and contacts and leverage. Something's gonna give. It's gonna have to. And it's going to really mess with that situation in Syria. It's really going to mess with that situation. And I really just wish we could just dial it back and just say, okay, all right, get our guys out there, get the CIA out of there, get everybody with their Fitbits out of there, and let's just dial this thing down. Let's let the people that are in the area just manage the situation.
We start this evening with U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson speaking with his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, today. According to the State Department, the diplomats discussed Russia's role in ensuring the Assad regime plays a constructive role in the UN-led Geneva process. Meanwhile, following allegations of a chemical attack in Syria, U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, has accused Russia of preventing the UN from carrying out its duties in the country. RT correspondent Anya Parenpil is here with the breakdown tonight. This is a back and forth between Russia and the United States we haven't seen for quite a long time.
It always seems to happen around Syria, Ed, and tensions did run very high at the United Nations this week as UN Ambassador Nikki Haley accused Russia of issuing a distraction.
Today, Russia is yet doing what it does best when it comes to chemical weapons. Russia is running from the facts. Russia has the audacity to lecture this Security Council about how to stop the use of chemical weapons. I know I've said this before, but it's worth repeating. In the past year, Russia used its veto 3 times to kill the Joint Investigative Mechanism in Syria.
This is getting ugly. And as the situation gets worse over there, there's more and more of... what's the right way to put it? There's more of a, not our well, yeah, I guess it is our reputation. That's probably the best way to put it. And more, it's our reputation on the line. Oh boy, this is, yeah.
For more on this, we go to former CIA officer and counterterrorism specialist Philip Giraldi. Mr. Giraldi, good to have you with us tonight. How do you assess what's going on between the United States and Russia right now over Syria?
Well, I think Anya explained it very well. The reality is here that the United States is a bit player in this resolution of the conflict. The United States did very little. ISIS was basically defeated by Russia and Iran and the Syrian government, and the United States feels it's left out in the cold. So it's pushing all the buttons it can. We have, again, this claim of chemical weapons taking place in an area controlled by the rebels, which has no credibility whatsoever.
Well, that's my next question to you, and I think that's really cuts to the heart of it. How good is our intelligence on what's going on in Syria, in your opinion?
I would say we have zero intelligence in terms of something like this, a claimed chemical attack taking place in an area controlled where no one, including the United States, has access to it. They certainly have satellite photos showing whatever the rebels have been able to stage, and they probably have some other sensors and things, but they really don't have good intelligence on this sort of thing.
That is an on-point assessment. That guy summed it up in ways that I haven't been able to sum it up in like the last year. Okay, we're coming into the final stretches of the overtime, and I think maybe what we should do is we should have a little therapy for Chris. If you've come this far, then perhaps you'll allow me this moment. This is something that I watch every single week. In fact, I'm not even kidding. I just cleared out about 1 terabyte this last Saturday of footage just like this that I have to go through all the time. I don't know what the media's problem is. Like I just said earlier, there's plenty of things they could be talking about. But instead, they make me watch this.
President Trump's relationship with water has been fluid. So maybe it's no wonder some viewers were mesmerized by the covered glass of water beside him during an interview with Piers Morgan. He's covered the top of his water glass with a paper coaster thing. That is proper paranoid. Does he think Piers is going to lace his drink? Piers, his own water unprotected, later described the president's designated water woman preparing for his arrival.
And she comes back with the water, right? The presidential water, which has all been secured. It's Watergate. She then gets a glass like this, pours the presidential water in, and then she produces a presidential seal napkin and a presidential seal paper cover lid.
The precautions reminded some of a passage from Fire and Fury, which says the president had a long-time fear of being poisoned. One reason why he liked to eat at McDonald's. Nobody knew he was coming, and the food was safely pre-made.
At least you know what you're getting. I don't want to go into a restaurant and say, Mr. Trump would like a hamburger to go. Yeah. Now, I don't know what they're going to do to that hamburger. If they like me, I'm happy.
Another tidbit from Fire and Fury. The president has reportedly put some teeth into the rules for White House housekeepers. Nobody touch anything, especially not his toothbrush. But when it comes to the covered glass, that's water under the bridge. Look who else got a lid. President Obama and even Vice President Biden got them. Obama even had one when he was a guest on The Daily Show. Hail to the lid, or as one wit rechristened it, the white cover is a covfefe. Talk about a cover-up. GDMO, CNN, New York.
How did they not know that? How do people not know that? That's been a thing. You gotta watch more Unfilter. See you next week. It was a non-story!
Reclaiming my time. Oh my gosh, it's Anderson Cooper, everybody! While you're laughing, the hackers are dropping malware into your system.
I'm not going to dignify that with an answer.
Bop, ba-dop, bop, bop. All right, I gotta mess with this thing here. So yeah, it was like everything was in everything had a Trump filter on it. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know why Dragon Player. Anybody have any insights on why that would be a thing? It seems really weird. So I gotta go into the video settings. That's one of the things I gotta fix real quick. Supposedly there's some advanced setting in here I gotta do. Bop, bop, bop. Okay, force composition pipeline. The NVIDIA driver can use a composition pipeline to apply X-ray transitions and rotations. We used a force that uses pipeline even when no transformation is applied to the screen. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so that should be one thing. Now, what do I do about the colors, though? Because that shit is weird. That ain't it. You know what I should do is I should check that setting real quick, but just trying to think. Anybody else know in Plasma where I could go to try to figure out tearing prevention only when cheap. Full screen recipients automatic. Reuse screen content. I don't know what these options are either. Anybody in here? No? Anybody in here now? So prevent screen tearing prevention automatic is what it's set to. Only when cheap. Full screen repaints. Reuse screen content. I don't know what that means. Oh, it says I have to do that per monitor. Let me go take a look at that too. Well, hi, Levi. Hi, Levi. What's going on? What's going on, little guy? Oh, yeah, you got some stretches in you, huh? That sounds nice. Everybody likes Levi stretches. Okay. Position is same as 30 hertz. Haha, I did miss that. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Oh, man. I'm glad I realized I missed that. Okay, so now let's go see if, let's go see if this is working. I bet Levi needs something. Oh, of course, Levi does. Hold on, Levi. We've got to check something here. Let's give this a go. I don't think it's... I think that's better. I think I fixed it. I did fix it. Sweet. So the overtime will be wonky, but yeah, it's totally fixed now. No more tearing. Yes! Sweet! That is awesome. That is good. That is good. That is real good. That is real good. Okay, now if I just knew what the gamma thing was about, let's see now. Let's go. Where was somewhere? It was like one of the CNN clips. It was super noticeable.
So the
it's
at
still
that hearing, Rosenstein was also telling lawmakers that, quote, as long as you're following your oath of office, you can also be faithful to the administration. The Justice Department declined to comment on this, and the White House hasn't gotten back to us, Jake, on this. We asked him for comment, but clearly, he was uncomfortable with these types of questions, and you can see where he's struggling to tell lawmakers that he can be both loyal, obviously, to his oath of office while being part of this administration.
Let's talk about the breaking news that Pam were telling CNN.
Yeah, that looks better, doesn't it? I just turned down the set. Now let's see if that remains persistent. So now if I open up another one here, let's see here.
go to David Chalian, our CNN political director.
And I go look at
we've
the...
been counting now. Gowdy's the 36th House Republican.
It doesn't stay. It's not...
Why?
Jeez.
Do you really think?
Well, I
don't know what
that
that's
the
about.
justice system is more fun than the political system.
That's weird. That is weird. That is so weird. Why is it... Anybody, what could I do to fix that? Because it's going to be really distracting for people watching this here show. Everybody's going to notice. You know what I mean? It's not like you don't notice that. Ha 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 ha. I'm not seeing it. I go back to GNOME MPV. Yeah, I could install that. This is it's not installed on this computer. I actually kind of prefer the way Dragon Player works because I have a few extra little command skis. But I definitely do not prefer. There we go. I just fixed another problem. Sweet. Definitely don't prefer doing that. Actually, let's try this. So where was that?
John.
Medea, thanks.
Yeah, so now let's go in here. Say open with MPV.
New documents reveal the name of the second person of interest in the Las Vegas shooting. Investigate that you'll see only on CBS this morning. Maria, good morning.
Maria.
His address a few weeks. He told me he had no idea what Stephen Paddock was planning to do.
Problem is it doesn't work quite right. That's definitely an issue. It causes problems. But it doesn't have the saturation problem. So what is that about, huh? Well, while Chase is en route, I got a couple of exclusive clips just for you guys, which maybe I'll do some Googling. I'll do some Googling. So okay, Discord room, you guys get to pick. To start us off, I'm gonna go with one of the slower ones here. So let's see here. We could do a body language analysis of Adam Schiff. So Adam's body. Option 1 is Adam's body. And option 2 is a secret Obama photo. So option 1 is Adam's body or secret Obama photo. You have to leave your vote in the chat room. So tell me if you want Adam's body or secret Obama photo. I'm going to check the IRC too. All right, I see. All right, secret Obama photo it is. Stand by. Tallying the votes. No one in the IRC votes. IRC is drunk tonight. Very good. Here we go. Let's pull it. Ducker, son.
A photo of Barack Obama with the Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan was not released until now because some believed it would have, quote, made a difference to the former president's political career. Askia Mohammed took that picture, and he joins us tonight. Mr. Mohammed, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So we just showed on the screen the photograph of former President Barack Obama before he was president with Louis Farrakhan. You took that picture. Where was it?
It was in the Congressional Black Caucus meeting room. Actually, I was looking at the picture, and if you look very, very closely, you can see on some of the people, they have a sticker that says HC9, which is one of those caucus rooms in the basement of the Capitol where meetings are held, and that's where it was taking place.
So why have we never seen this picture before?
Well, a couple of things. I was sort of honor-bound. Immediately, the day of the picture that was taken, I was on Capitol Hill. I worked out of the Senate Radio TV Gallery at the time. A staff member from the Black Caucus called me and said, we have to have the picture back. And I was kind of taken aback. And it's like, so we talked a couple of times on the phone after that, and I said, okay, well, I'll give the picture to Minister Farrakhan's chief of staff, who is Leonard Farrakhan Muhammad. He's shown on the far left of the picture. And I gave the original disc to him and, in a sense, swore myself to secrecy because I had quietly made a copy for myself. Just, it's my picture, it's my art, it's my intellectual property.
Right.
I wanted it, I owned it, and I wanted to keep it. And so It wasn't my place to.
But why would people from the Congressional Black Caucus or the Nation of Islam headquarters in Chicago not want that picture to come out?
Well, I don't think it was so much the Nation of Islam, but rather the Black Caucus. Perhaps they sensed the future. This was 2005 now. There were no, he had just been in the office a few months. But the idea, and in fact he had people from the Nation of Islam working on his staff in his office in Chicago, his Senate staff. The members of the Nation of Islam helped him in his Senate campaign on the south side of Chicago. So, but I think as people considered the ambitions, the thought was Minister Farrakhan and his reputation would hurt someone trying to win acceptance in the broad cross-section.
Did he have contact with anyone from the Nation of Islam as a senator or as president that you know of?
Not that I know of. He did have, as I recall, there was a member of the Nation of Islam in Chicago worked on his staff, on his office in Chicago, his constituent services office in Chicago. But I never knew her. I never knew her name. But at some point in his at some point, she was no longer on his staff. I don't think it was an acrimonious departure, but she just wasn't on his staff anymore.
So was Louis Farrakhan or members of the Nation of Islam, were they offended that President Obama wanted to distance himself from them?
Some were. Many were. Many were angry. Many were hurt that not only did Senator Obama denounce Minister Farrakhan, he rejected him. In the same interview appearing, I've forgotten what it was, with Senator Clinton.
Yes.
And she went after him about, well, I rejected the support of some people that she considered unacceptable in New York when she was running for Senate, and really demanded that he do the same. And so he said, okay, if it'll satisfy you, I'll reject him too. And so people in the nation have a sensitivity about this and feel that we've often been made, Minister Farrakhan has certainly been a litmus test for people, whether it was fair or not, because people who want that acceptability in the crossover, you might say, can't stand the inquisition that comes with being associated with Minister Farrakhan.
Well, I wish it had come out earlier, because I think it makes for an interesting conversation wherever you fall along the spectrum. Thank you for coming on tonight, Mr. Muhammad.
Thanks for having me on.
That picture and telling us what it's about.
Thank you, Cucker. Thank you. Thank you, Cucker. Thank you. Okay. I got another one for you. How about little Sarah Sanders going head-to-head with Chris Cuomo, your buddy?
We have certainly coordinated with members of Congress, as is appropriate. As to specifics on this, I just don't know the answer. I'm not aware of any conversations or coordination with Congressman Nunes on
Rosenstein, Trump's choice, says he doesn't like this. He goes to the chief of staff to say it. Stephen Boyd, Trump's choice at the DOJ, says this could be reckless, dangerous. The intelligence community says, let us review this. You have the House saying we don't trust the GOP, the Republican part of that committee. You have the president, when asked if he trusts the FBI, say, we'll have to see. Why do this to the intelligence community? Why call into question their legitimacy with the American people?
Look, I don't think we are calling into question anything. I think, look, we've said many, many times before, the president has full confidence in Director Wray and his ability to lead the FBI. I don't think there's any secret that there is some frustration and certainly great cause for concern by some of the actions of some of the previous leadership at the FBI. But the president put Director Wray there for a reason. He has great confidence in the rank and file members of the FBI, which we've said repeatedly. But there are a number of things that have given reason for not just the president, but the American people to have cause for concern out of the actions out of that department.
So why not let the system work? Why do this?
That's exactly what we're doing.
No,
Chris.
no, this is a naked end run. Sarah, you know that. This is a naked end run by the House Republicans. They're saying, usually, the intelligence
that is the process.
Oh, no.
It is the process for an intel committee.
We've never seen a release of information like this.
We've also never seen the obsession over a total hoax like we have seen over the last year.
What's a hoax? What's a hoax?
I would say the Russia collusion and Russian fever that you guys have perpetuated every single day.
But
Look,
how is it a fever?
Did
it happen? Was there Russian interference? The American people certainly have never said they don't want to hear about it.
That's not what you guys are talking about. You're not talking about whether or not Russians involved. You're talking about whether or not the president was involved. Those are two very different things.
But that's part of the special counsel's purview, a man who you guys interviewed for a job at the White House, a lifelong Republican and a decorated veteran who everybody applauded, Bob Mueller.
And we're fully cooperating with him. We've turned over thousands and thousands of documents. More than 20 people have done interviews.
And yet reports that the president thought of making a move on him this summer.
We have continued to be fully cooperative with him. The president has been fully cooperative with him. He's publicly been very positive and saying, I don't have any problems here. Let's see what happens. Let's get this done.
He said, I'm looking forward to sitting down with him. Now there's reporting that your lawyers are looking for an exception to get him out of an interview. Which is it?
It's those two things are not mutually exclusive, Chris, because the president has nothing to hide. He's more than happy to be.
Then why look for a reason?
But at the same time, his attorneys are going to go through the proper process. You guys want to paint these just crazy, like ludicrous things and create stories that just aren't
crazy
there.
and ludicrous? He says he wants to meet with Mueller. Now you've got his lawyers looking for an exception that probably doesn't apply. Why?
He says he's certainly willing to. Again,
then don't have the lawyers waste my tax money.
All right, so hold on. Now I'm going to pause it because we have another thing. So Steve there in the old Discord says, "Hey Chris, go to." Of course, I just turned it off. Go to settings, multimedia. Okay, go into multimedia. Multimedia. Yep, that makes sense. And then go to audio and video. I'm assuming. No. Oh yeah, audio, video, back end. Phone on VLC. It's the only one I have. Doesn't really do me any good, does it? Can't really change it to anything else. I'm on KDE Neon. I don't know if you know the package name to like install MPV as a backend, or I'd love to do MPV, or I could try GStreamer. I don't think I'd want to though, but otherwise I guess I'll just leave it. Okay. All right. Well, it's just it's like Samsung OLED screens for your news this week. I want to show you my favorite response to the State of the Union. I thought it was pretty. Oh, interesting. I don't have it. Oh. I thought it was pretty classic. The Fox News morning show had a reaction to the State of the Union that was unique, and I thought you guys would enjoy it.
African American unemployment stands at the lowest rate ever recorded. And Hispanic American unemployment has also reached the lowest levels in history. And just as I promised the American people.
All right, here to weigh in, social media stars and Trump supporters Diamond and Silk.
Hey,
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Good morning.
So what'd you make of the fact that even though there were some topics that bring us all together, the Democrats did not stand?
Well, that's what these little Democratic lawmakers do. They sit down on the American people. That's right. Here we have a president that wants to stand for all Americans.
Here we go. And look at their bit they got going.
Yes. And you have these Democratic lawmakers, they want to sit down on us. But, you know, it's not going to be tolerated. And see, I think what they want to do is take us back to the Jim Crow days. That's right. They want to take us back where they're manipulating, intimidating us, and telling us how it's going to be. They want to hand us crumbs. It's reminding me of that president that said, we're going to give you enough to keep you quiet, but not enough to make a difference. It's time for a president to stand up and make a difference. That's what President Donald Trump is doing. And it's either the Democrats can stand up, or we can do like we're trying to grant a path to citizenship. We need to grant them a path to retirement. It's time to retire some of these Democratic lawmakers.
The Congressional Black Caucus sat the whole entire time.
Well, see, these people are in they back in the 60s. That's right. This is 2018. We are in a new era, a new America. This man is truly making America great again. Why wouldn't you be happy with us having more money in our pockets? See, they want to hand you crumbs. We can no longer vote for a system that's handing us crumbs anymore. We need to vote for a businessman that wants to make this place great again. And I don't see how the Democrats are going to get in it. How are they going to win it in 2018, and how are they going to win it in 2020?
And if you really look at it, the Democrats is acting just like their party symbol, and I'm not talking about a donkey.
Oh, there you go. That's their bit. Did you like it? Did you like it? Okay, I told you I was saving this for you just for the live stream. Remember when I said? Do you remember what I said? You forgot? What the thing about Maxine? I told you I was going to play a clip for you.
I'm D. Watkinson with the Salon 5, and today we're going to give you 5 reasons why Maxine Waters should be our next president. Number 5.
Congressman, we're just, in case you can't see, showing video of you standing on the aisle and shaking a number of presidents' hands over the years, both Republicans and Democrats. So my final question to you, Congressman Engel.
No, you have not. Excuse me.
She's talking to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had been talking to me about standing on the aisle and shaking hands.
No, I'm sorry, Congresswoman
I'm sorry.
Maxine Waters.
Yes,
I'm talking to Congressman Engel, who has stood there and we've shown over the years.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that, for the confusion.
Sure. He is wrapping his arms around Putin while Putin is continuing to advance into Korea.
Our millennials are a force. I recognize it, and I was the millennial once. No longer, of course. I was the millennial once.
I do not wish to debate. I wish to ask, is there one United States senator who will join me in this letter of rejection?
There is no debate. The gentlewoman will suspend.
I have not called for impeachment.
You said I'm going to fight every day until he's impeached. That's what you tweeted.
Yeah, but here's what I've said. My greatest desire is to lead him right into impeachment. Impeach 45. Impeach 45. Impeach 45.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. That is pretty solid. Okay, let's see what else. I think maybe I got something else in here for you guys. We could do another highlight reel. How about that? These
We
are fun.
need to deliver for the people. This is really the key. These are the people we were elected to serve. Because our people are strong.
That's my favorite. I love it when Nancy looks around. All right. Well, that just got the stream flagged. But it was pretty funny. Let's see. What else could I play for you? Scanning. Indications negative at this time.
So help me understand this. I know you can't reveal classified
No,
information.
don't.
Though I'm not going to push you on that, but I will push you on this one idea. It is hard. I have to believe it's hard for the American people to have faith that anybody in this city where we are right now is out for the truth and not out for politics. And I can understand why they want it all released. Congresswoman, I can understand why they want it all out, because they say, you know what, we can't trust you guys. Let us read it.
She's
Let
zone
us
out.
figure it out. You can redact the names. You can make it safe enough for us to look at it, because they say the same thing about you.
No.
That the Russia investigation, there's no collusion. You guys are pushing the ball to political advantage to stymie the president, and they talk about this memo. like it should have been in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, this thing, that this is the holy grail of the truth about what was happening during the campaign.
You know.
It points the finger at the Democrats and the FBI.
Well, let me just say this. We're not going to become them.
I'm going to grab this because this is a shorter version of a clip that I was going to play earlier in the show. I think it'd be better to swap that out. See, let's see here. Where is that? Here we go. So I'm going to replace that with that shorter version because you can only stand so much Nancy. There we go. Oh, Levi. I think he just came in here and had a little dog fart and left. Isn't that nice? Just came in here, gave me a little dog fart, and then headed out. He's getting the place ready for Mr. Chase. So, yeah, I'm glad I saw that because that would be good.
Let's talk about the Nunes memo. You've called for it to be released. As you know, the Assistant Attorney General, Stephen Boyd, who's a Trump appointee, he says it would be, quote, extraordinarily reckless for the memo to be made public without a full and thorough review by the Justice Department. Is he wrong?
I believe he is. Mr. Boyd hasn't read the memo, and there are very good reasons why you wouldn't want the FBI and the Justice Department to be the very next folks to review this information. I think that the best thing to do for the country is to release this information into the public square, and then let's have a thoughtful and thorough debate about the type of country we want to have, the type of surveillance policies that we think are appropriate, the type of corroborating evidence that should accompany FISA warrants. And I think that at the end of the day, we might actually get some bipartisan agreement out of this if we can think of it not just in terms of the existing political structure, but whether or not we ever want to have political parties working in concert with our intelligence community to go after other political parties or political candidates. I think we can all agree that we could do better in that respect, and the release of this memo will be a good next step.
Well, you say that there's a good reason to not let the FBI and the Justice Department see the memo before releasing it. What is that good reason?
Well, Jake, I can't go into the reasons that would confirm or deny the facts that are in the memo. I will say that it does not include sources or methods. Typically, we try to be very, very cautious before releasing anything that could disclose a source or a method of collection of information. I think that the Intelligence Committee staff that drafted this memo was very careful to ensure that it didn't include those types of things that would be redacted. Based on what I've read, there are no redactions necessary. We should release this full memo, and we should also be working to release accompanying information and data that buttress the facts that are laid out. And I think that's the only reason why the memo wasn't released sooner. Chairman Nunes and the Intelligence Committee correctly wanted to vet that information and ensure that we've got the most credible product for the American people to review.
I guess one of the things that people who are hearing about the Nunes memo have an issue is if the problem is that, in your view and the view of other House Republicans, the FBI has a bias problem at the leadership level.
Whoa, Jake. Whoa. Okay, so I'm going to go check. Because I think when I was in the NVIDIA settings, I think I was on my main monitor, not my output monitor. Yeah, I got that stupid song stuck in my head now. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Hello, Mr. Chase.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm actually here.
Yeah, you are.
And you're actually here. We're actually in the same room, which is incredibly interesting.
It happened. Do 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 boo 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 boo. Ooh. Man, there's so many things. Synced. Okay, good. Synced. It does say it's synced them. Well, then I don't know.
I have a good Unfilter health plan. Yeah,
Oh,
the Unfilter health plan is amazing.
The Unfilter health plan, huh?
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh, I should get that. Let me check on that there.
You don't want it.
What are you chewing?
Hi guys, hi everybody. Boy, you know what really grinds my gears? What grinds my gears are Uber cars or Lyft cars. I don't care. And actually, I think this was a Lyft car. I got it on video.
Lyft, yeah, I saw that.
So I just stopped it.
Literally doing that. I think yesterday or the day before. I just gave you that delicious chew thing. This dog is unappreciative of the delicious.
I know. So a guy comes into a complete and full stop in a lane of traffic. He puts on his park wherever you want lights on. And he pulls over, comes to a complete stop, and I can't go anywhere. There's nowhere for me to go. I can't go around him. I can't do anything, so I just lay on the horn. I lay on the horn for a long period of time, and then he finally moves. But then he does the I'm going to move 5 inches thing and then brake again, and then to move another 5 inches and brake. So now he's doing this like double intentionally, right? And he makes a turn down the street, the same street that I needed to make the turn on. So we make the turn, and then he tries to pull over, but that half-assed pullover shit. And I finally get around him, right? And then I stopped. Then then my little road rage kicked in, and I put the brake on.
Nice.
And he nearly hits another guy trying to get it's just. And then let me tell you about the State of the Union. Oh my.
The State of the Union is strong because our people are strong.
And there is it's very baconish. I've been saving it for the show.
Oh, good.
No one's talking about it. I watched the whole Union and the Democratic response.
Well, okay.
Oh, you want me to?
No. I was just making sure.
You're warming up the pan.
Yeah,
Got it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Get some oil in there. That's fine.
You bet. All right, chat room and Discord, please help us name this damn thing. Bang, suggest if you would. I mean, we ask all but one thing, and that is for you to help us title this bish. So please, for the love of all that is holy. All right, just gonna take this little poo first.
Don't forget the wipe.
Okie dokie. It is Unfilter 267, and it begins now. And she's going to go full screen on this bish. All right, here we go. Mouse cursor was on the screen. Sorry. This is Unfilter, episode 267 for January 31st, 2018.
Yeah, I think it was 2 days ago I said I support Bob Mueller 100%. I wasn't a math major. I don't think you can support someone more than 100%. So, look, my Democrat colleagues didn't want us to find this information. They did everything they could to keep us from finding this information. So, of course, they don't want us to share.
Will it be embarrassing to them?
I think it'll be embarrassing to Adam Schiff once people realize the extent to which he went to keep them from learning any of this. So that would be the embarrassment.
That's right. Disease and illness-free. Welcome again to another edition of Unfiltered, Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly show about the news
my time.
you shouldn't be watching. No, I'm reclaiming my time, Maxine. I'm sorry. I'm reclaiming it. And running the board this week, he's a new board op, Mr. Chris Fisher.
Hey, buddy, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Oh my God.
I just never thought I could be on a show.
Where is the contamination filter? Where is the shield?
Oh, you didn't know?
No.
We spray everybody down now when they come in. Yeah, you signed off on it. We weren't very clear about it. Yeah,
fair enough.
You know what, buddy? We got a great show coming up this week. Turns out somebody big, a name you've heard of before, one of those types that pulls the strings behind the scenes, has been hacked. We'll get into that in our cyber segment.
Right.
And then yes, more crap is going on, causing your Twitter feed to go crazy. We'll talk about this memo stuff, the vote, and the State of Union. I know you were glued to the TV for the State of the Union.
I watched the whole State of the Union.
Yeah.
I watched the Democratic response.
Yeah, we watched it so you guys don't have to.
And I have a bit of internal conspiracy bacon. Maybe it's because of everything that has happened over the past 5 years. I've become real cynical.
Sure.
And then with current controversies. So, yes, I will share that when it's appropriate.
You know, that tends to happen. Chase. So why don't we build up to that?
All right.
Let's build up to that bacon.
Fair
I
enough.
got the pan warming up.
Yes, you do.
And let's kick it off with a little cyber.
ASL.
Did you hear about these heat maps?
Yes.
How great is this?
Well, the ironic thing about this, and I know you're going to talk about the story here.
Well, I might not, but David Muir will.
Well, David Muir and his perfect hair will. Is this was already brought to the military's attention years ago. This was brought up years ago, and actually the military, gave these
I was
to
just
their
going to say, they're the ones that gave
They're
the
like,
Fitbits.
here, we want you to be in shape.
I know, it's so awesome.
And this is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
We turn next year to news coming in from the Pentagon after reporting that fitness apps are compromising U.S. security. The apps track athletic activity using GPS, and do they reveal where U.S. forces are around the world? Some of the apps do share that data on publicly available maps. Are they inadvertently releasing classified or sensitive locations? Tonight, Defense Secretary Jim Mattis now ordering a review, and here's ABC's Clayton Sandell.
It's the workout app that tonight has the U.S. military exercising better privacy. The app, called Strava, connects with wearable fitness devices like these. It tracks users, including some U.S. troops wherever they go, Afghanistan, Iraq, and more. Now, years of data published in this online map is becoming a security headache for the Pentagon.
The real problem here is that these devices have revealed U.S. personnel, special operations or intelligence personnel in countries that most people didn't know we are in.
The map went online in November, but was publicized over the weekend by 20-year-old Nathan Russer.
It shows you which buildings the military personnel prefer. It can show you how military personnel like to get from one part of the base to another, and even where they take their afternoon jogs, which is something very valuable if you are looking to target the base.
The military insists that troops were not compromised, but is now reminding fitness junkies worldwide to change their settings to private. And tonight, that app maker Strava says they are committed to working with government and military officials to try and address some of those sensitive areas.
Now, I want to go a little bit more into the maps, because that is they were sort of glossed over in the report.
Yeah.
There is some really interesting details released.
Well, I was going to say, if you saw in that piece the map of Europe and it was just all lit up, I mean, it's very secret.
Yeah,
very secret.
Yeah, that's what they show in the report.
Right, yeah.
Go.
Go!
Oh, sorry. Go.
This
there we go.
global heat map by a GPS tracking company. Wherever it gets bright are the areas of the Strava app's most active use. Some places seem totally black, like Afghanistan, for instance. But we know there are American soldiers in parts of it. Zoom in, ta-da. The little bright dots is where Uncle Sam must hang out, or to be more precise, exercise. It was a 20-year-old student who first noticed how easy it was to find the U.S. bases.
This particular track looks like it logs a regular jogging route. I shouldn't be able to establish any pattern of life info from this far away.
So that's a real threat, which the Pentagon's admitted. While only a few years ago, they were happy to distribute thousands of Fitbits among staff. By the way, there must be a number of temporary or even permanent U.S. bases that we don't know about. Journalists have zoomed in on areas around Mosul in Iraq and Raqqa in Syria. We're told Uncle Sam is there to train and assist. Since the rest of Iraq and Syria are pretty much all black, perhaps locals don't really have many of these devices. So it's fair to assume that the bright spots are where Americans train others and train themselves. Another journalist remembered this article and scrolled all the way to the capital of
It's an article talking about a secret CIA base in
Somalia.
Some heavy jogging activity on the beach around what looks like the reported CIA annex at Mogadishu airport.
No one can say for sure all of this is correct, but the concern is out there.
There's also one that apparently reveals an underwater base.
Well, the one thing that isn't 100% clear to me, maybe you know, is this just focused in on our troops, or is this just anything with a signal? Because it doesn't automatically mean yes, this is U.S.
No, what it is, it's sort of like based on you eliminate. What's the right way to put this? It's essentially in certain areas by process of elimination, it's almost only going to be U.S. military personnel. Like when you go into Syria and Iraq,
right?
That's what they're talking about. Or when you look at hey, there was rumored to be a CIA base here, and then you see jogging trails. And
So we're the only group that would have those devices. There would be no other group like Canadians.
No, absolutely
Europeans,
not. But that's not the only thing. But it's a possibility that it would possibly reveal like where troops are active at.
I see.
But
Okay.
that which is risky. But the other thing that it does is you can also look at the map for known military bases.
Right, that's
and,
true.
And then you could look at that and see, well, what is the activity pattern? Like, what is the life's pattern in there? Like, where do people, and that could be great.
Where do people work out?
Where that'd be
Right.
great for planning an attack. Or how do people, cross through the large base? Like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Okay.
there's some information in there. But yeah, it's going to get pulled down pretty quick. So go look for it now if you're curious. So I mentioned somebody pretty famous got hacked.
Yeah.
It was actually your good buddy.
One of
I don't
my
know,
friends?
He might have texted you and told you. I know you guys are texters. George Soros.
Hackers have leaked over 2,000 documents linked to billionaire George Soros and his grant-making organization.
Do you hear the way he says that? And his grant-making organization.
George Soros and his grant-making organization, Open Society Foundation. The papers exposed the group's ongoing attempts to influence political processes in Europe, in Russia, other parts of the world as well. Here's Guy in Chichikan.
Leaked documents from George Soros's Open Society Foundations show persistent efforts by the organization to influence the political process in Europe. To reach out to European voters, the organization has funded local advocacy groups, social media projects, and journalists. Here's an example. Over $130,000 went to a project by a group called EU Observer.
This project uses professional news reporting to foster debate on how open society values are under stress in the run-up to the European elections. EU Observer recruited experienced local journalists to visit campaign events, conduct interviews and solicit high-level op-eds in 16 countries.
While the Soros organization has been doing all this hard work trying to influence politics in Europe, a leaked document shows the organization's $500,000 effort to find evidence of Russia's alleged influence in Europe's political life. The proposal reads, quote, "The evidence is still rather sketchy and based more on strong allegations."
Now, here's the part I like, is so after they do a little analysis, they realize, well, shoot, we have a hard time calling out Russia on this stuff because it turns out we're just accusing them of exactly the same thing that we are doing, which I think is amazing. They even were that honest with themselves.
Also see that the Soros team recognizes the problem of trying to accuse Russia of influencing politics in Europe.
Naming and shaming from us is problematic. We also are in the business of channeling money into other countries for political purposes.
When he says democracy, he means Sorosocracy.
It's another leak. Another leak he used also at Davos. George Soros was at Davos, and he very slowly discussed the need for Facebook regulation. It is decent, isn't it?
That's pretty good.
It wasn't
pretty good.
That was a decent. I don't know where that came from.
I felt the little reverb in the voice there. That was nice.
We must regulate Facebook. I'm losing it, but we must. So we'll just move on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this secret memo. And they're formally known as Russia investigation.
Welcome to the Alexa Prize, a university competition to advance
What?
AI.
Oh.
I'll get you the 2017
Oh.
winner, sounding board from the University
What?
of Washington
What?
in Seattle.
Someone's going
When you're
rogue.
done, say stop.
What is?
Hi, this is an Alexa Prize social bot.
What's going on?
How's your day going?
Hi, my day's going pretty good. What's going on right now?
I don't know. What did you do?
Did you say play day is going pretty good?
Oh,
You
God.
don't have to say anything about that.
I don't.
We could chat about sports.
Alexa,
Don't make me
stop.
No problem. Let me think. Let's talk about
What's going on, dude?
She won't stop. She will not stop. You won't stop. She will not stop.
Alexa, we need to stop. We're trying to do a show.
Stop it, Lexa. Stop. Stop.
Alexa, we're trying to do a show. Is she done?
I'll do a better job next time. Do you want to talk about some news about politics?
No!
Yes. I do.
No!
Let's do it.
No!
I want to know.
All right. Do you want to know this random thought I had about Ashley Madison?
What?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do want to.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, let's just find out.
Do we have a mic on her?
Super.
Kind
I
of.
was high up in the cloud when I realized Ashley Madison is about to become a dating website for divorced people.
Okay. What else are you thinking about recently?
I'm not sure I know anything about you thinking recently. Would you like to talk about some news about football?
Yeah.
No.
Yes,
No.
absolutely.
No.
Yes, let's do that.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. Skip.
Yes.
Cancel.
Yes. Continue.
Cancel.
Absolutely. Engage. Make it so.
No! Oh.
No problem. Let me think. How about we chat about some news about scientific advances?
Okay, let's do that.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. I'm a flat earther. No.
Yes. What about that climate change?
Sorry. I'll need to do some research on that climate change.
Ah!
Do you want to chat about some news about climate change?
Yes.
No. This will go on forever. Al Gore will come on.
All right, Alexa, stop.
Sorry, I didn't hear your voice. You can say yes to continue.
Stop.
God, make it stop.
I can't. I can't even imagine what happened.
Thanks
yes.
for chatting.
No.
Quick question. On a scale from 1 to 5 stars,
She can't stop.
how do you feel about speaking with this social bot again?
Oh, did you activate
3.
a social bot? This is what you do
Thanks.
when I'm not around.
Anything else
No.
you'd like to tell the team about your experience?
I don't know how this got triggered.
What happened?
Got it. To try another winning social bot, just say, Alexa, let's chat.
It's over.
That was weird. Okay.
Wow.
I feel a little violated. And we just wasted good doggy chew time.
I know. I mean, I feel like Alexa. Oh, nope. I didn't mean to. I think
Cancel.
that cancel.
We got to start.
I know that thing didn't appreciate our show.
Well, since I'm let's go. We'll start here. Since I'm losing the impression, let's move on and let's talk about those secret memos, those secret societies, and much, much more. I started hearing about this because there was a hashtag. Has so many other things in life now. Hashtag release the memo.
Striking new developments in the Russia investigation. House Republicans have voted to release a classified memo targeting the FBI for its handling of the Russia investigation, a move President Trump's own Justice Department has called extremely reckless, just hours after the FBI director targeted by Trump moved up his retirement. Our senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas is tracking all the latest from Washington. Good morning, Pierre.
George, good morning. Republicans say they're just exposing what they believe is questionable conduct by Justice Department and FBI officials in launching the Russia probe. But Democrats are calling it a hatchet job aimed at protecting the president. The classified Republican memo alleging FBI and Justice Department wrongdoing in the Russia investigation is now at the White House, where President Trump has 5 days to decide whether to actually declassify it. The memo arrived at the White House after the House Intelligence Committee voted along party lines to publicly release the document. Republicans saying it's all about transparency.
If there's wrongdoing in any federal agency, we have a responsibility to expose that and take the appropriate action.
But the Justice Department has called the potential release of the report without time to address security concerns reckless for the potential risk of harm to national security and ongoing investigations.
Oh, my.
And Democrats are crying foul, saying the memo is misleading.
You know, when they say
Here's your
Democrats,
buddy.
they mean Adam Schiff.
They mean your best friend.
They mean Adam Schiff. And you know, I want to point something out to you. You see where he's walking out of right now?
The bathroom?
I wish. He literally walks out of where they just had their big important discussion, and he walks directly to the cameras.
Well, standard operating procedure for most politicians.
There's not a single Republican on the committee that's doing that.
No, they already did it.
In fact, there's no other Democrat. He's the only one.
Well, they got to have a spokeshole.
He's literally the only person on the investigation committee who goes right to the camera afterwards. And I think it's going to cost him.
Well,
People are noticing.
Yeah.
Saying the memo is misleading, designed to shift attention away from the special counsel's Russia probe.
This committee voted to put the president's personal interest, perhaps their own political interest, above the national interest.
Last night's vote to release the report came on the heels of Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe stepping down 5 weeks before his anticipated retirement.
We'll come back to that in a moment.
McCabe, the subject of months of searing criticism from congressional Republicans and President Trump. This after the president fired former FBI Director James Comey. At issue, McCabe's wife had been a Virginia political candidate as a Democrat, receiving a campaign donation from a Hillary Clinton ally.
Oh my God, that is the least of the issues.
Republicans criticizing McCabe for not recusing himself from the Clinton email probe when he became deputy director, and President Trump repeatedly bashing McCabe in tweets. Why didn't AG Sessions replace acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe, a Comey friend who was in charge of Clinton investigation, but got big dollars, $700,000, for his wife's political run from Hillary Clinton? But Monday, President Trump refused to comment about McCabe.
Mr. President, have you been told that McCabe is resigning?
Thank you. Thank you.
No comment yesterday, but sources tell ABC News in private Trump has been openly disdainful of McCabe.
So let's talk about McCabe. Let's do this. Let's do this. I want to talk about the memo. I want to talk about McCabe. I want to talk about all of it, but a little more on Sheriff Woody. I want to play his whole press conference. So he comes out from the committee, and let's watch the whole thing. This is after they voted to release the memo.
This is where we are. We had votes today to politicize the intelligence process.
That is a little ironic, since that is literally what he's doing right now. But what he's talking about is the votes were to then pass it on to Trump and give him 5 days to decide to release it. This hasn't happened before.
It's a very rare arcane procedure, actually, that they did.
Yeah. Now, that also is a product of the fact that the FISA court has rubber stamped so many things that there's never been a challenge to a FISA court ruling like this either. So this is sort of unprecedented at a lot of levels if you think about it. But the whole thing is he said, she said, right, left.
Politicize the intelligence process, to prohibit the FBI and the Department of Justice from expressing their concerns to our committee and to the House, and to selectively release to the public only the majority's distorted memo without the full facts. A very sad day, I think, in the history of this committee. As I said to my committee colleagues during this hearing, sadly, we can fully expect that the President of the United States will not put the national interest over his own personal interest. But it is a sad day indeed when that is also true of our own committee, because today this committee voted to put the President's personal interest, perhaps their own political interest, above the national interest.
And there's a lot of irony in everything this guy says, because he's gone to court to prevent certain releases of information. But the public got wind of the memo when certain Republicans started, I guess I wouldn't even say leaking it. I guess it was just really a single story that started in the Washington Post, and it just sort of exploded from there. And initially, there was sort of an effort to say it's not actual public interest, but it's Russian bots driving the interest online.
Top U.S. Democrats are claiming Russia is behind an online campaign to release a classified Republican memo. RT's Caleb Maupin has more.
Well, according to the Democrats, there is yet another Russian conspiracy against the American way of life. Now, this is all regarding the hashtag Release the Memo. There is a memo that has been seen by top Republican leaders that purportedly and allegedly shows vast misconduct by the FBI in their investigation of Trump and Russia, and possibly spying on Donald Trump. Now, there has been a huge call on social media for this memo to be released. Now, the Democrats say that this is a Kremlin plot, and they are calling on Facebook and Twitter to reveal the role of Russian bots in allegedly promoting this hashtag Release the Memo.
Did you see that Twitter did respond?
Oh, no, I didn't realize that they did.
Yeah, they did respond. They say, we don't have data that suggests that it's bots. They didn't really go much further than that, but they were very sort of diplomatic about it and said, we actually don't have any data that shows that it's bots doing that. But they still that seems like such bullshit. Russian bots are, anyways, moving on. So there is this story around McCabe. This guy, he's connected to the couple that have been texting in the FBI, and he was set to retire in just 5 weeks. But then that got stepped up a bit.
Translated, it shows we think, because none of us have seen it.
Right now he's talking about the memo.
Except members of the House. It shows the use of raw intelligence data for political purposes. Congress should have known about that before it gave the people who abuse this authority more authority. FISA
That's a great point. Remember, we just reauthorized FISA?
Yeah, but the part that really bugs the hell out of me is it was going to be renewed anyway.
That's true. That's true. But if this had come out beforehand, would it have?
Yeah.
You think
Because
so?
yeah, absolutely.
Because it's always going to get renewed.
Right. It is.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm seriously.
It's too critical of a national security.
We are
blah, blah,
still
blah.
under a state of emergency. We got to protect our kids. Blah 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 blah.
Okay. I buy that. I think that's fair.
Foreign intelligence surveillance act.
Yes, and guess what this is all about? Spying on Americans and using that material to embarrass, humiliate, or manipulate the Americans that were spied on. Spying on Americans without suspicion and without probable cause, but on the basis of a city block or an area code or a zip code or a telephone number.
So we just heard Democrats and some others are complaining that if you release this to the public, then all of our sources and methods are going to get out there.
Okay, now, I think a lot of you probably are aware of this, but this is a pretty important point to sort of drive home. These memos are, the memos themselves are not unique. In fact, they're commonplace, and it's how different members of the House are briefed by the Intelligence Committee. And so they're purpose written by the Intelligence Committee staffers to remove sources and means, because it's a summarization of the intelligence. That's why you'll hear one of the common memes right now is the underlying intelligence. The memo is drawn from the underlying intelligence, and it is written intentionally from the start in such a way that they can brief people who have not been declassified, or whatever the term would be, have not been given security clearance.
Okay, so yes and no. This is a 4-page summary of raw intelligence data. Raw intelligence data is the information that the spy agencies actually collect, like a phone call or a text message or a series of these. When the Republicans prepared this, it was written by 3 members of the committee and Republican staff members, and it became apparent it was going to be released, the Democrats prepared their summary of the same raw intelligence data. Surprise, surprise.
That's the Schiff memo.
They come to opposite conclusions. So you have 10 pair of eyes, Republican eyes, looking at the same data, 10 pair of Democratic eyes looking at the same data.
So we actually have 2 memos.
They come to radically different conclusions. The committee votes only to release the Republican version.
And that's the part that I have a little bit of an issue with. If it wasn't a political thing.
Why would that happen?
Well, hold on. And it was truly about, hey, we need to release the information to the American people. We need to be transparent. And that's a big key word that they've been saying is transparency.
Yep.
Then you release it all.
And what? Okay, well, actually, he's about to get to that.
Yeah. Otherwise, it turns into a partisan political issue.
Yeah.
And it just feeds into the fire.
I completely agree 100%. In fact, I want to talk more about that after he talks about it.
Yep.
Because I think you're completely right.
I say, release the data. You can white out the names of the people who gave you this information. Don't release the names of your sources, but let the American people decide for themselves who broke the law, who knew about it, and who looked the other way.
The Department of Justice has said, oh, you cannot release this stuff. This is dangerous stuff.
And then it turns out the Department of Justice, at the time it made that statement, hadn't seen it. And this is where it gets a little dicey. In response to that revelation, that the Department of Justice hadn't seen it, the director of the FBI, Sunday afternoon, went to the House Intelligence Committee vault in the bowels of the Capitol building. And
I'm going to stop that because I want you to hear who this person is again.
It's a little dicey. In response to that revelation, that the Department of Justice hadn't seen it, the director of the FBI, Sunday afternoon,
the director of the FBI,
went to the House Intelligence Committee vault.
Those are those secret rooms downstairs that you can go in and you can look at. You can't take anything in there with you, and you can't take anything out there.
In the bowels of the Capitol building, and read this 4-page memo and looked at the data from which it came. And what did he do 12 hours later? Fired his deputy, Andrew McCabe.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with Andrew McCabe. Let's circle back to, let me see here. I have a clip that I think would help us talk about this. I don't know if I actually set it aside. Let's see here.
All my colleagues who are coming to the House floor tonight, encouraging the President of the United States now to certify the release of this memo to the American public. The American public is a lot smarter than a whole lot of other people give them credit for.
Now, stick with him.
Present them with the facts, the truth, and they can form their own independent judgment as to what transpired.
I think that is generally true on a large scale.
That was the first thought that came to my mind when I went to the basement the week before last, the basement of the House Capitol, to read this classified memo of the House Intel Committee, that this memo should be immediately released to the American public.
So he's read
so
it.
that they have all of the facts.
Now,
in addition to releasing the memo, I believe it's important to be releasing relevant material sourced in the memo.
Well, stick with him.
Now, tonight, the House Intel Committee voted to publicly release this memo to the American public, and at the same time,
To your point, Chase.
the House Democrats came to the committee calling for the declassification and public release of their memo. Now, let me add a little bit more context on this memo that the House Democrats came to the floor asking to be released. They did not allow the voting members of the House Intel Committee to read the memo tonight before voting to declassify and publicly release it. Let me repeat that. The House Democrats, led by Ranking Member Adam Schiff, went to the House Intel Committee tonight calling for the public release of their memo, asking for their colleagues to declassify the memo and publicly release it immediately without giving them the opportunity to read it first.
Thereby
I
guaranteeing.
can speak for myself.
Where's he sourcing that from?
He's
he was the it
yeah,
was there.
he's on the
Okay.
committee.
Okay, all right.
And so that
I'm sorry, I didn't know him real quick.
that is that adds an interesting element to it. I think they're going to have to release it. I think they're going to have to release both of them now just because there's so much hype. Even the Schiff memo is going to have to get released, and I think it should be.
Everything should be out there.
Yeah.
Everything. I'm tired of this one-sidedness from both parties.
So the Democrats,
Just sick of it.
The Democrats have been definitely positioning this as a very dangerous thing. Here's Pelosi trying to do
So help
that.
me understand this. I know you can't reveal classified
No,
information.
don't.
Though I'm not going to push you on that, but I will push you on this one idea. It is hard. I have to believe it's hard for the American people to have faith that anybody in this city where we are right now is out for the truth and not out for politics. And I can understand why they want it all released. Congresswoman, I can understand why they want it all out, because they say, you know what, we can't trust you guys. Let us read it. Let us figure it out. You can.
That's what we're saying. We
Yeah,
are saying that.
we're saying-
For once, Como
Wow,
is...
Como.
Como doesn't make me want to punch him in the nutsack for once.
Redact the names. You can make it safe enough for us to look at it, because they say the same thing about you. No. That the Russia investigation, there's no collusion.
Nancy's not
You
having
guys-
it. She's like, no.
I know. In fact, he's had to draw in this. He has to draw her attention once or twice because she just sort of zones out. I have a much longer clip in the supporter sync.
To pushing the ball to political advantage, to stymie the president, and they talk about this memo like it should have been in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, this thing, that this is the holy grail of the truth about what was happening during the campaign. And
She's sitting there like chewing on her mouth.
it points the finger at the Democrats and the FBI.
She's not even
Well, let
looking
me
at him
just
when
say
he's
this.
talking. Which is
We're
weird.
not going to become them, the Republicans, because they are totally irresponsible in this regard. We're talking about the intelligence community. We're not talking about...
She really seems out of it, doesn't
Hey,
she?
well, she's not making eye contact, which really bothers me for some reason.
Yeah. But okay, so let's try to
All right.
focus. Okay, I'm going to try to
All right.
focus on what she's
Yep.
saying. So
Yep.
I'll back up a little bit because she's really
Actually, we're getting distracted by her distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it points the finger at the Democrats and the FBI.
Well, let me just say this. We're not going to become them, the Republicans, because they are totally irresponsible in this regard. We're talking about the intelligence community. We're not talking about...
So this is something that I'm hearing a lot. Since when is the FBI considered the intelligence community and not law enforcement?
Yeah, they're NSA
and the Justice Department again.
Yeah.
But it's over and over again.
NSA,
It's not just
CIA.
Nancy either.
Yeah.
It's the intelligence community.
And the FBI.
Well, let me just say this. We're not going to become them, the Republicans, because they are totally irresponsible in this regard. We're talking about the intelligence community. We're not talking about some issue that we're having a fight about. We're talking about our national security. As I said, when I've been on that committee, I had been on that committee a long time and served as leader and involved in those issues. And this isn't not to be politicized. This is about fact. It's about evidence, about data. It's not about making up a false memo based on a false premise that the chairman hasn't even read, and then to put it out there.
I
So
give
it's
you
not
that he
about-
has. If he hasn't read it, that's a problem. We'll take that
You know,
up
but how
with
can
him.
how can you decide if you haven't read it that it should be revealed to the American people?
Fair point. But what I'm saying is this: are you saying without revealing anything that's confidential or
Right,
classified,
so I can't.
obviously.
I can't do that.
She says that every time in the interview, and then she makes that
It's like,
weird smile.
Okay, yeah, we know.
Yeah, if you watch the longer one, it's like 3 or 4 times.
Get it. But you're saying that if the American people see this memo and they read it and they think about it, that they could not reasonably conclude
No,
that
you
there was
can't.
any problem with what happened during the election?
Of course not.
Well, then why are they so anxious to release it?
Because it's not even true.
That doesn't make any sense. This is where it starts to go off the rails just a little bit.
Not reasonably conclude
No,
that
you
there was
can't.
any problem with what happened during the election?
Of course not.
Well, then why are they so anxious to release it?
Because it's not even true. It's not even true. They have made up a memo that isn't even true.
Well, it's a standard process. It's super normal all the time.
And they're lying to the American
So what are you going to do
people.
about it?
Well, we have put forth a memo, which we reluctantly did, but said don't put this out unless it is reviewed and redacted. That
Now
means
it won't
there's
be
a-
out when theirs is out.
Doesn't that tell you something? The Republicans say, we want the American people to see our memo, but we're voting against showing the American people the Democratic memo.
But you could read the Nunes team memo. You had to go down in the basement.
But again, let's enlarge this issue. Let me not get engaged in this Republican-Democratic thing. This is about security or not.
And she also makes the argument that it's a distraction, that they're trying to make it a distraction.
Out of her 10-minute tirade, 8-minute tirade, 30 seconds was good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like,
I know they got a problem with her. I think they got a real problem with her, and so now so we should probably so let's bring it up to date. So the memo has been voted to be okay. It can be released. Adam Schiff was. I'm not even joking. I think I have a link in the show notes. Can't remember. Adam Schiff was reported to cry.
What?
He reported to cry. So they voted to release it, and then Tuesday night. I think it might have even been like after the State of the Union. I can't remember the exact timing. The White House announced that they would not be releasing the memo. No, it was before the State of the Union because it was actually at the An open mic at the State of the Union.
But I thought actually that the official stance was there was no comment. Like, we have not decided.
I thought it was Tuesday morning they came out and said we won't be releasing the memo.
I can.
Will you check? Yeah. All right. We'll play this clip and check.
Fox has learned that the Trump administration intends to release the memo by the end of the week. All right. Listen to what the president had to say about it last night. Roll tape.
So here's the open memo.
Let's release the memo. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't worry. 100%.
So that guy has read the memo. So he's, don't worry, 100%. We're going to release the memo.
Why would there be a worry? And that's a little concerning to me. If it's about truth. Yeah. Republicans say this is about truth, getting it out and being transparent to the American people.
Yeah. Although it's not a totally uncommon thing to say, oh, don't worry about it.
100%.
No worries.
It's going to be out there.
Yeah. Of course he has to say 100%.
100%.
I know. Here, I'll replay. Let's see. Listen. And look at that smile on this guy's face. Oh, my God. All right. Yeah, so it's like Tuesday. I don't know. I can't remember when it was, Chase. I might have helped, but no help. Because I was down in Seattle for a canonical event, so I was sort of batching my news.
Let's release the memo. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't worry.
He says, let's release the memo. And then Trump says, oh, yeah, don't worry.
100%. Can you imagine that?
Could you imagine that, he says?
Yeah.
Then what does that mean? That almost sounds like we're not going to do it. Could you imagine that? It almost sounds like I'm not doing it. Don't you think?
That's strange.
Let's release the memo. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't worry. 100%. Can you imagine that? Yes, sir.
Why would that be a laughy, happy thing?
Because they're going to burn it down. This place is coming down.
Yeah, we're going to release the memo. Woo-hoo!
Okay, 100% going to be released. However, the FBI says it's accurate, but the Justice Department does not want it out there. Napolitano is here. Judge.
So that was Congressman Jeff Duncan, Republican of Tennessee, who has seen the memo. According to the Washington Post, the president had not yet seen it. He's going to see it this morning, so he hadn't seen it when he said it's coming out. He probably has had it described to him.
That's confirmed.
So
I
the
found
FBI...
That too.
What's that?
That he hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that could always be an out, too. Now that I've reviewed it.
Now, granted, he hasn't seen it. That being said, though, the clock is still ticking. So basically, we will know by Friday. It's 5 days, and we will know by Friday.
And the DOJ do not want it out because they believe it reveals sources and methods of acquiring data, of acquiring intel. And they don't think it can be effectively redacted. How do we know this? Because Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, and Rod Rosenstein, the number 2 person in the DOJ, the chief operating officer of the DOJ. Where's Jeff Sessions in all this?
Yeah,
another issue for another time. Spent about an hour and a half with General Kelly, the president's chief of staff, yesterday afternoon.
rounding up immigrants.
Trying to persuade him of the potential dangers of it coming out. Here's the concession they got from General Kelly. We'll run it past General McMaster and the national security team here at the White House to see if they have the same concerns that you do, because they...
So that's out number 2. Out number 2 is we're going to run it by our security guys here at the White House.
National security team here at the White House to see if they have the same concerns that you do, because they utilize the same sources. I don't think this is pro-Trump, anti-Trump, and I want it out like you do. But I believe that Chris Wray's concerns and Rod Rosenstein's concerns are professionally grounded concerns.
Okay, so get around it, because all this talk is just whetting our appetite.
Stuart,
I don't see how the president can not release it after he says to a congressman, yeah, 100%, we're out there.
So I would go even farther, no surprise to you. I would release the Democrat memo as well, and I would release the raw intelligence on which both memos are based.
Okay.
So then we can see who's spinning us, who sat on this information while Congress voted to extend FISA, who looked the other way.
That's his favorite point. So what are your thoughts now before going further? Because
Well, I really hope that they decide soon, because my Twitter account can't handle it much anymore.
Yeah.
For me, it's all about the truth. I've always been about the truth. I want the straight info without spin. That's why I watched the State of the Union before any, I didn't watch any of the commentary. I just watched the State of the Union. I watched the response.
Yeah.
In regards to this memo thing, it really feels invented to me. It really does. And I play this back, and thanks to my cousin Devin, this plays back to last April when he went to the White House. He did an end around to deliver information to Donald Trump. And I always go back to that point where he didn't really follow the standard procedure. He went around the bend. And now, all of a sudden, as the heat is turning up, admittedly, on the Russia investigation, and more information is coming out about the president in that regard, that anything that they can do to spin it the other way, to cause a mass distraction, that is how I'm feeling that this is going on. How they had to go in an arcane process to release this memo.
Yeah.
It really feels set up to me.
That doesn't get me too much, because this is kind of an unprecedented situation.
But it goes back to the truth. If it's about transparency, as they say that it is, release it all. Do it all.
Yeah, okay. I agree with you there. So my thinking is I've always viewed that Nunes going to the White House with the intelligence info a little differently for a couple of reasons. Number one, because if I were in Vegas and I had to bet at all, I would be more likely to bet that this is a political sham by the Democrats to cover for a horrible loss from Hillary Clinton and cover a bunch of other stuff. And Schiff is at the middle of a lot of it, including protecting Fusion GPS at a government level. And Nunes found that out. And the memo that he's releasing is essentially a summary of what he took to the White House. Now, there's only a few people that would have access to that, and that's somebody on the Intelligence Committee.
Now, if this has been known, obviously, for the past year, why now? Why not do it then? Why not do it 6 months ago? Why now? And that's why I keep coming back.
I've been wondering about that, too.
That's why I keep coming back to this. The timing is very peculiar to me.
Well, here's what I think. I wonder if it isn't a little bit of a sign of how this whole thing has really degraded. Like when it started, there was when it started, it was before the Bob Mueller investigation.
Right, I remember.
And there was this air of officialness and authority. It was this bipartisan. It was pitched as this bipartisan cooperation, and then, since they've been back after the holiday, the shit just has been getting really partisan. Like, there's been immediate leaks of hearings. Dianne Feinstein released that entire Fusion
I
GPS.
remember. Yeah.
And that was like a big deal because, now it's a partisan thing. And it feels like this has been unraveling. And I also would bet you they've been working on this memo for a while. I don't know, though. That's something I think we're going to have to. We would probably be better equipped to answer 6 months down the road, I bet, when we look back at this. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about Adam Schiff, though, a little more, because Trey Gowdy had something pretty big, he said there in the intro, when he said that if this memo gets released, it's really Schiff that gets embarrassed.
What's the talk about this? He's got 5 days to decide that it should not be made public. The indications are that he's not going to exercise that. And I would just tell my fellow citizens, if you're interested in whether or not the dossier was used in court proceedings, and you're interested in whether or not it was funded by a political opponent, then you'll want to see the memo.
Sure. Congressman, there are Democrats who are saying that what the Republicans are doing with this memo and just a general drumbeat up on Capitol Hill is trying to diminish Robert Mueller and his investigation.
Yeah, I think it was 2 days ago I said I support Bob Mueller 100%. I wasn't a math major. I don't think you can support someone more than 100%.
Gowdy mode activated.
So, look, my Democrat colleagues didn't want us to find this information. They did everything they could to keep us from finding this information. So, of course, they don't want us to share.
Will it be embarrassing to them?
I think it'll be embarrassing to Adam Schiff once people realize the extent to which he went to keep them from learning any of this. So
now, what's amazing is the two news bots in the middle just move on as if he doesn't say what he's about to say, and it's only the guy that drives me the craziest on the far left that catches that he just had a little bit of a bombshell there. Watch the two news bots in the middle; they just almost completely gloss over his statement.
He went to keep them from learning any of this. So that would be the embarrassment.
He's like, what?
What do you mean?
I mean, going to court to help Fusion GPS, so we can't find out that they paid for the dossier, and that they were working for the DNC. That's a pretty big step to go to court to try to keep the American people from learning something. So, look, if it were up to Adam Schiff, you wouldn't know about Hillary Clinton's email. You wouldn't know about the server. You wouldn't know who paid for the dossier. So I do find it ironic that he has his own memo now, because if it were up to him, we wouldn't know any of it.
Aren't we all in search of the truth, though? I mean, Democrats and Republicans should be in search of the truth. If there are a few bad apples, they need to get out. But why is this such a partisan issue when if something wrong happened, we need to get to the bottom of it, figure out who's responsible, and then there need to be consequences. But why do the Democrats have a problem with that?
Now, his answer has a lot of meaning to it if you know today's news.
I don't know, Ansley. My old job, it was about the pursuit of the truth. This job, it is about winning. And I think that's what frustrates people, and that's how you get a 7% public approval rating.
Yeah.
I want to know.
And he just kind of goes on and says, I just want to know the truth.
And when you have lobby groups and you have big money involved and the military industrial complex, we can keep going.
Yeah, and today Gowdy announced that he won't be going for re-election.
And that, there's a side tangent to that, and then we were kind of chatting on Telegram about it earlier today.
You think the rats 30? Are...
Well, why is it that there are so many Republicans that are up to not... They're retiring. They're not going up for re-election. They're stepping away from it. I don't remember a time in my political
30
history.
Now, right? It's 30?
30 representatives.
Yeah.
What? I mean, seriously. I mean, is it just coincidence, or is there something else going on here? I know the secret society of Washington.
I don't know.
Is there something going on?
It could be people. I mean, you got to figure it's got to be a few things. I bet you that some people are like, I don't want to be the party of Trump, so you're gonna have some of those. You got to figure some of it is like Gowdy. I think I wouldn't be surprised if everything he's seen and all this stuff, because last week on the show I'm playing clips of him talking about secret societies in the FBI, and having watched a lot of hours of hearings where Trey Gowdy's asking questions, I've always felt like he's been pretty on point with his questioning. He gets a bad rap because he got associated with Benghazi, but his whole body of work's actually pretty solid, and it's unfortunate because I think he's probably one of the better ones in there, and he's leaving. I don't know, a lot of them are going. I wish Adam Schiff would leave. I really, really wish Adam Schiff would leave. Are you okay if I just take a shot at Adam Schiff real quick?
Well, he's your best friend, so I mean, you can say what you
Democrat
want.
Adam Schiff of California. We've had a long-running dispute with the congressman on the matter of Russia. That began when he accused us of being agents of Vladimir Putin.
This is one of my favorite moments of Adam Schiff right here.
You're on the Intel Committee. Let me just ask you one final question. Can you look right into the camera and say, I know for a fact the government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of John Podesta's email?
Absolutely.
December 7th, 2016. This is Adam Schiff. We played this clip on the show. I just love this moment, and I feel like after this segment, I need this.
Right into the camera and say, I know for a fact the government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of John Podesta's email.
Absolutely. The government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of our institution and the dumping of information.
Of John Podesta's email.
Not only in the United States,
email.
but also in Europe.
Okay, you're not, you know what, you're dodging.
And Tucker,
I like that he starts smiling, though. It kind of is endearing. Like, this is the moment I'm like, all right, okay, Sheriff Woody's not so bad.
You can say, I know they did. John Podesta's emails, they hacked those.
And I think that Ronald Reagan will be rolling over
Ronald
his
Reagan,
grave.
fine, Ronald Reagan.
And then I couldn't believe he goes to Ronald Reagan.
You're carrying water for the Kremlin.
I'm not carrying water for the... You're making... You're saying...
Tucker's response is so genuine.
And you can't say they hacked...
You're gonna have to move your show to RT Russian.
Watch Tucker now.
I forgot
It's
this.
classic Tucker.
Tucker like television because
You know what?
this
That's
is perfect.
just so
this is perfectly
beneath your
placed.
office because it's so dumb and you're being duplicitous.
So dumb. Because it's so dumb.
To RT Russian television because
You know what?
this
That's
is
just
perfect.
so beneath your
Hashtag
office
triggered.
because it's so dumb and you're being
Tucker
duplicitous.
triggered.
I'm asking you, did they hack Podesta's
have to
emails? And you
resort
can't
to
say it. Look into the camera and say they hacked John Podesta's emails. We know for a fact that Putin's government did that. You can't, and you know you can't, and you're hiding
Tucker,
behind weasel words.
That guy's a liar and a demagogue, in case you didn't notice. Bill McGurn is a columnist at the Wall Street Journal.
Anyways, I needed that. You know what I mean? I just needed that. I'm really frustrated with that guy right now.
They're all liars.
He's wrecking this thing. Yeah, they're all wrecking it too. They really are.
I mean, really.
Okay, let's go. You know what? Maybe some ceremony will make us feel better.
All right.
You know what? You ready for some pompous?
Please.
Some ceremony?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
So I watched this at the Grand Hyatt Hotel in downtown Seattle last night. I was sitting in a bar at the hotel, and I don't know. This is the moment that has been like for me the surreal moment that I've been waiting for. Like, what is it going to be like to watch a Donald Trump State of the Union? I've never been able to visualize it. And after the inauguration speech where he came out all guns banning,
yeah,
I thought, what is this going to be? And also, how different of a Trump speech will it be now that we are post Steve Bannon? And I think Trump took an interesting tack with this particular speech. He didn't really tend to talk about himself very much.
President Trump used his first State of the Union address to praise Americans and the impact of his presidency.
Yeah, he
this,
did do
in
that.
fact, is our new American moment.
Uh-oh.
There has never been a better time to start living the American dream.
The president touted the growing economy and highlighted tax cuts and other changes from his first year in office.
Mr. Trump also condemned criminals who are immigrants, deadly gang violence, and the opioid drug epidemic, and he challenged Congress to pass immigration reform. Democrats greeted much of the speech with dissent or stony silence.
Stony
CBS News poll shows 3 out of 4 Americans who saw the speech approve of the president's message.
75% is pretty high. Let's
the think of my thoughts yet.
I mean, just don't you think like the margin of error, by the way, is just 3%.
So I think there should be a follow-up question, and the part that kind of gotten me is I think the overall message was pretty good. The problem that I have though is there's been just so much lies and false truths that have come out that have been straight up like Snopes out or whatever documented PolitiFact of things that President Trump has said. And it's really, really, really hard to take what he says seriously when the very next day or even the day before he goes out on Twitter and basically contradicts things that he just says. And those are the things that really kind of just like, all right, is he mean it this time? Is he going to stick to it this time? And
but you and I said that same thing about Obama.
Yeah, but I don't remember like the amount, like the great like and you can go back and listen to earlier episodes of this show where I've thrown Obama on the bus too. And
I mean, when Trump says he's gonna crack down on immigration, I believe that. When he says that he's gonna try to increase our nuke supply,
right?
I believe that too.
But his big campaign thing that that we always heard about was, well, I'm gonna make Mexico pay for Mexico's gonna pay for
the wall.
it.
Yeah,
and now it's, well, you're gonna give me money for a wall. If you want DACA to go through, and we're going to get Mexico to pay for it through other means. No, that's not going to happen. Let's be smart about this, people. That won't happen.
You and I, what we ought to do if we were smart is we ought to just become wall builders.
Actually, invest in concrete, like lots of concrete.
Solar frickin' walls, buddy.
Highways.
8 in 10 Americans who watched say they believe Mr. Trump was trying to unite the country rather than divide it. The audience, according to our poll, was 42% Republican and 25% Democrat.
Oh, well, there you go.
Major Garrett is at the White House with details of the hour and 20-minute speech.
You know what I'm noticing about CBS?
What's that?
Is they have the lowest latency remote links. Like, Garrett's like...
Actually, to be fair, CBS may have a fiber link.
Well, geez, I would think, man. Yeah. They're the Tiffany broadcast.
The Tiffany broadcast.
Garrett is at the White House with details of the hour and 20-minute speech. Major, good morning.
Good morning. President Trump last night did something he almost never does, made the story of his presidency about somebody else. The guests he featured and the stories he told amplified what the administration has accomplished and what it hopes to do in the future, suggesting for the first time what's ahead is less about him and more about the country.
The state of our union is strong because our people are strong.
President Trump used his first State of the Union address since taking office to call for what has eluded past presidents, an end to bitter partisanship.
I call upon all of us to set aside our differences.
Mr. Trump called for compromise on immigration reform with echoes of campaign rhetoric.
Yeah, that's just so unlikely. I mean, you could just watch the Democrats weren't clapping and standing at anything. They're so far from unity. Nancy Pelosi and the really pretty much, I'd say everyone on the left just hates him and hates what the Republican Party represents because of him. There's literally no way. There's just no way it's going to happen.
Open borders have allowed drugs and gangs to pour into our most vulnerable communities.
Oh no, someone else has been reading George Soros' documents.
He recognized the parents of 2 teenagers slain by MS-13 gang members.
320 million hearts are right now breaking for you.
And called family-based immigration a dangerous loophole that should be scrapped.
A single immigrant can bring in virtually unlimited numbers of distant relatives. Under our plan, we focus on...
That drew hisses from the Democrats as there are limits and long waiting periods. The president highlighted his first-year achievements, including economic growth and stock market gains, but made no mention of the Russia investigation that has put him at odds with his own government.
Americans love their country.
He also didn't slam the media either, which was, a first.
And they deserve a government that shows them the same love and loyalty in return.
He suggested federal employees
Could he not
who
use a better word there
than loyalty?
Yeah.
Otherwise could be penalized.
So tonight I call on Congress to empower every cabinet secretary with the authority to reward good workers and to remove federal employees who undermine the public trust or fail the American people.
The president also tackled North Korea, citing 2 cases of Kim Jong-un's human rights abuses.
Oh, boy.
Including the imprisonment and mistreatment of American Otto Warmbier, who died shortly after returning to the U.S.
Otto's wonderful parents, Fred and Cindy Warmbier, are here with us tonight. Your strength truly inspires us all.
The president also singled out North Korean defector Ji Sung-ho, maimed as a boy and later tortured by the regime.
I understand you still keep those old crutches as a reminder of how far you've come.
So he had a strategy there. You know, you could see what he's doing, obviously, is he's using these stories to make some of his points where he can, instead of him having to say immigrants that come in and join gangs are killing people, he can point to a crying family. It's kind of savvy in a way. It's sort of like the way I explained it, because I was sitting there with Noah at the hotel, as I said, he's playing the classics is what he's doing. Is he's hitting those emotional he's hitting the hits. He's playing the hits for the American emotional notes.
Yeah.
And
well,
it's exactly what I would expect from a TV savvy president.
Yeah, it's something that members from either side of any political party can relate to. I mean,
it's symbolism too.
How are you going to hate on a guy, a North Korean guy that tried to get away from something terrible? And actually, you know, when I saw him up there, I'm like, I felt like, and let me talk about this. I think this is a good opportunity.
Yeah.
The whole standing thing for a minute. So he comes in, this North Korean refugee, gets away from a repressing regime, is able to come here and live a dream, right? He's able to come here and live a dream. And then later on in the speech, or maybe it was before in the speech, Trump talks about his pillars of immigration and how he wants to introduce a merit-based system. If we had a merit-based system, a guy like that wouldn't make it in because what it is he have to give, right? Yeah. I mean, you can't have it both ways like that. I mean, I honestly always thought...
That's sort of been his thing on immigration the whole time, it seems like. He wants it both ways constantly.
Right, and I always thought that, when I was growing up, I always thought that America was, we've heard the term, a big honeypot, where, you know what, if you work hard, you can make something happen, right? And it
melting pot, yeah.
A melting pot. It doesn't matter where you come from. And it feels like now wants to lock it down. And taking examples, like this gang thing, very serious. I completely agree that, gangs and opioid abuse and all these things that are happening to our country, but I don't know if that's the right way of going. Setting up a wall, and it doesn't feel like that's what America's about. But I also understand of the risks of all these other things that are happening. So it's a very conflicting thing. The standing part, there were some instances during the speech where the president was telling to the crowd when they would point out to certain people in the crowd, and at the beginning it didn't happen in the beginning of the speech, but towards the middle and the end. Please stand. Please stand. Please stand.
Yeah.
And it started to irk me. I was just like,
the other thing I
why
noticed,
all of a sudden you're telling people to stand?
He was also directing people to clap. He was, in fact, they broke clapping records, but he would stand back from the mic, stand sideways, and he would clap himself.
Right.
And that's when the person on the star of the stage is telling you to clap, people keep clapping. It's like putting the clap now sign on.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny to see that. I don't really know what to make of any of that stuff, because it seems like it changes all the time when it comes to immigration. So I'm pretty confused by all of it. I did grab a few numbers though. He said he mentions America or American 86 times, taxes or taxpayers 16 times. Families or family 15, strong or strength 14, immigration or immigrants 11, the flag 5 times, infrastructure 4 times, and God 4 times. So there you go. That's the Trump speech in numbers. I think he did better than I expected. I'm trying to decide if I would grade him on a curve or not, but I think he did better than I expected. There seems to be a mixed response.
At all afterwards, right there. Speaking of afterwards, there are 4 or 5 separate Democratic responses, including the official one.
Yeah, that's what it was. I think the public gave him a good response. What do you think of this 5 different Democratic responses?
From Congressman Joe Kennedy of Massachusetts. When you have that many people giving a response,
so you got Sanders, Kennedy.
I only cared about the official
Maxine
one.
Waters is giving hers tonight.
Oh, well, she's reclaiming her time.
Yeah, so the thing about the Joe Kennedy one is the chapstick thing is super distracting. And actually, some people think it is drool. I watch the video, and I can't help but see it. Like, all I can see is the drool. It's pretty bad for me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I will say, though...
And his tone was off, too?
Well, everyone has a different tone.
Yeah, they sure do, Chase. I don't know. He seemed a little hyped.
He's a young guy. He's younger. He's younger than us, which is weird to think about. I know, and he was very energetic and very positive.
Yeah, he sure was.
I did pop a question out on Twitter last night.
Oh yeah,
and the question was, when did the responses become a thing like this? I remember when the Republican and Democratic responses was just somebody sitting in a room with a nice American flag behind them, and they went through their 10, 15-minute rebuttal, and that was the end of it. Now it's in front of crowds. There's elaborate sets and stuff and things like that. Yeah, it's like, wow.
It's on social media, and there's streams, and there's 5 of them, which does give a fractured message. When you have 5 different responses, it sounds like there's no singular message. But, you got time to work that out. You got a couple years. Go ahead. Figure that stuff out. Mr. Chase, before we go any further, we ought to consider just taking a darn moment here on the show and maybe doing ourselves a little mail sack.
Yes!
Yeah.
Fascinating.
What do you say?
It's very fascinating.
You want to do a little mail sack?
Let's do a little sack. It's time to go ahead and pull it open. Just rip it open.
This one's actually... This one's an interdimensional sack.
That's right. It's coming to you from what's warp speed? What's the equivalent? Like 50,000 miles an hour?
Yeah, and anyway. we're on the USS Unfilter.
That's
so let's
right.
go ahead and go into the sack.
All right. Well, on screen, Mickey T says, "Hey guys, I'm glad you're feeling better. On the memo, Dems trying to discredit it before it's released only makes me think that whatever is in it is credible, and it is also a big deal.
I like how
making me want to read it more.
Everybody's so suspicious.
Yeah." On the State of the Union, all the Dems did was push themselves further from the right with their theatrics, more than likely making themselves not to get the coveted centrist vote and thus reducing their chances in 2018. So, Mickey, during the State of the Union, one of the sister TV stations in Washington, D.C. did one of those real-time dial things, where you can agree or disagree depending on what's going on. And they had 5 Republicans, they had 5 Democrats, and they had 5 independents, okay? And they were monitoring them the entire time. And what they have found is with the independents especially is they were still barely leaning towards the Democratic side, but not by much. And we've seen this in many polarizing State of the Unions where you have one side or the other. They'll sit on their hands or they sit on whatever and that sort of thing. So, it's one of those situations where you kind of got to look out for, especially in the State of the Union where, you're going to have some very polarizing topics and very, passionate people, especially in regards, immigration and taxes and, the big bullet point topics and that sort of thing. Yeah, absolutely. The next.
All right, I got the dog. You read the next one.
All right, the next one comes in from AT and says, some interesting news from Australia. A government employee sold locked filing cabinets full of classified documents at an auction. The buyer broke into the cabinets, and the files have now been obtained by the media. This is the kind of incompetence the world would expect of Nancy Pelosi, but no, it's here in Australia. Also, on a personal note, I'm super excited for the #TheMemo to be released. No idea what it will contain, but I think we are all ready to find out. Live long and prosper.
Memo hype, Chase.
Memo hype. And finally, last but certainly not least, Micah writes in and says, hey, I missed the State of the Union, but understand it was a train wreck. Speaking of train wrecks, it's awful that one person died and others were injured, but the irony of a train full of congressmen women hitting a garbage truck isn't lost on me. By the way, that is in regards to today, actually, as we record this show, there was a train accident between a train that was taking some Republicans to a retreat, I believe in West Virginia, and they ran into a garbage truck on the railroad tracks at Great Crossing. If you want to be a part of the mail sack and you want to jump in Club 33, that's how you do it. Head over to patreon.com/unfilter. I personally want to say a big thanks to all of you guys, giving well wishes to Chris and myself when we were out ill this month. Really bad month for illnesses, as you guys been hearing around the country. So head on over to patreon.com/unfilter if you want to be a part of the support team.
Fascinating.
Yeah, patreon.com/unfilter. Thank you, everybody,
for
supporting the show.
Thank you.
We got 3 patrons last week. We're still kind of dragging a little bit. We'd love some more support as the show is it's quite a bit to track these weeks. Quite a bit. And there's more coming up, too, overtime in just a little bit. So don't go anywhere.
Yes.
The show's not even quite over yet. But, Chase, before the official section of the show's done, we're gonna
Mommy needs a joy.
Yes, Mommy.
Time for the high note, Mr. Chase.
Yes.
And watch out. It's finally happened. they've gotten to the children.
Developing right now a potential drug overdose at an elementary school in Goodyear. We're told that firefighters rushed to the scene, and right now Phoenix Police is handling this investigation. ABC 15's Katie Connor is live at Encito School, I should say, that's near Saraval and Van Buren. Katie, what have you learned about this?
Well, police think the students actually ate marijuana candy. They started complaining of headaches shortly before lunch here at the school behind me. A teacher finally called 911, and once paramedics got here, they discovered the students were between the ages of 10 and 11 years old, may have ingested edible marijuana. Fortunately, they were all okay and released to their parents.
So the some students,
Now,
I guess, brought in candies. They think.
Do we know if this was the manufactured stuff or just some parents doing their own thing?
I didn't. I saw one picture that might have been the actual bag. I'm not sure. It looked like a bag of candy.
This stuff isn't cheap, right, Chris? I mean,
don't think so.
No, I mean it's like
it seems like it's probably something that they got from their parents.
That's why I wonder. And obviously, since cannabis is in the news, I mean, let's not talk about the opioids heading to school. Let's talk about the cannabis heading to school.
It's the children, Chase. You
gotta watch
watch
the
out.
kids.
Yeah. There's this conflict, right? Because in most states, they have a structure in place that when cannabis was legalized, a lot of the tax revenue goes to the schools, too.
I also thought that it would go to, safety programs, Chris, to keep the kids safe.
That kid knew exactly. I mean, it was an intentional.
Maybe the kid was just having a stressed out day. And
from what I read into it, it looks like he meant to do it.
Really?
Yeah, it was intentional. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, but to be 100% clear, I mean, we do not endorse kids and brownies and stuff. That is not cool. You need to be an adult, you need to be developed, because they have done the studies, right? That
you should never do it until you're 40, not until you're 40 years old, I believe is what the study said.
40? Got
40
it.
years
40.
old. There is more money to be made, though, in California. It's kind of this weird, bumpy transition for California. I'm really surprised how much they're screwing this up.
It is a great day, man. It is. Happy New Year. In with the new year, marijuana legalization has come to California, and with it, a lot of money.
This is a new industry.
Just how big a deal is this?
It's ginormous. It's bigger than I can even explain.
And is California ready?
There's still a lot of work to be done.
From the worries and doubts,
is the illicit market to continue to thrive?
To the hopes and dreams.
It's exciting and scary all at the same time.
How Prop 64 is going to work.
No, it messed things up even worse.
Or how it's supposed to work.
Is it going to be cost effective at this size? And I like to think so.
Because ready or not, the green rush is on.
It's been I don't know. I've been watching.
I don't understand California.
I know,
because they have there's 5 or 6 states that are ahead of them.
Yeah,
they had plenty of time to get things ready.
Yep,
and they are in a cluster F of despair because
from at every level, from the growers to the sellers to the distributors to the banking
and they can and cities can opt out, just kind of like here where they can just say not our thing, we don't want to do it. It is messed. It's all over the map.
It is all over the map. All right.
Yes.
Well, I know we've been all over the map recently, so let's see if maybe for the next couple of weeks,
back to normal.
For a little while, we can get back to a little normal, unless something crazy comes up and you got to go fly out of town. Maybe I got to go live down by a river. I don't know what it is, but in the meantime, we'll try to get on the straight and narrow over here on the Unfilter show, so you can tune in live and participate in our chat room, discord.me/Jupiter Colony. There's the Unfilter room in there. And then come on over to jblive.tv on a Wednesday. You can get the exact time at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. The live stream usually starts around 3:30 p.m. Pacific, so you could just do that math.
That's easy math.
Ask your lady tube if you got one. She'll math it for you.
Nice.
Yeah. Or get it mathed for you at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Nunes, you got anything
Chris.
you want to let the people know about before we get out of here?
You guys, you might know that my name is very similar to some guy releasing a memo soon.
Never heard of it.
So you might want to try to follow me on Twitter and really see the great pain that I'm going through at Nunes, Nunes, twitter.com/Nunes. Also, please check out my content that I do. I put out a lot of good stuff, and it's all over Twitch, twitch.tv/GeekGamerTV, and also have a Discord channel, ggtvdiscord.com. Chris,
sir,
you do vlogging.
Not really, not much.
Well, you're also
I did some though. People want to see them.
You're also proprietor of a podcasting network or netcast, whatever you want to call it.
I don't ever call it netcast. No, I'm proud to be a podcaster.
But where
or
can people
internet
follow
broadcasting.
you if they so chose?
You can do it at Chris LAS. You can follow the network at Jupiter Signal. Don't forget the Patreon, patreon.com/unfilter. Like that? Made it nice and dramatic. Yeah. We also should plug the RSS feed. Subscribe to the show. That way you can
that's
get it.
Good old RSS.
Yeah, get it every single week.
It's still working.
Get it every dang week. And we also try to post the full live stream when it cooperates at the Patreon page, patreon.com/unfilter for everybody. If you're a patron or not. Don't forget, the overtime's coming up. A bunch of good stuff in there. More stuff about everything we talked about. Extra stuff. Who knows? Chase is a good buddy, the Vegas shooter.
Oh, God. Don't do that.
And a lot more. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you right back here next week.
You're going to die, man.
Okay, all right, JB. Titles.
I got a best friend.
Yeah, he kills him that you show up and then we don't pay any attention to him. It drives him nuts because he sits around all day. I know. I probably got to start daycaring him.
Are you walking him out and stuff?
No, I get here. I get here at 8, and I work until you get here. So no, I don't. Yeah, he does really good except for this part. Yeah, he just gets bored. If I had more money, I would hire a dog walker for him. And sometimes in the mornings we take him for a walk before I come down. The state of the memo is not bad.
Yeah, PJ, I was in an RV, actually. I was in an RV near Barstow.
I also put down memo hype as a possible title. Memo hype? What do you think of memo hype? Suggest. Let's go look for. Would anybody in the Discord give us a title here? Discord.
There was one earlier. It was like
State of the Memo.
Chasing Nunes's memo.
State of, that's good. Divides of the Union. Divides of the Union. Oh yeah, because of the State of the. I think we'll make it about the memo. Divides of the Union instead of State of the Union. State of the Division. Memo mess. Memo Supremo, while Willy Wonka and the Cannabis Factory.
Yeah, I like chasing Nunes's memo. I don't know about that. For me personally on this, it's really like to the point where it's like hard to know where real people exist and where people don't. Because and I didn't talk about this on the show about the whole Russian bot thing, but Chris,
yeah, of course it would be cubicle.
There are a few people.
Why don't you come here and do some of my work
have
for me?
Tweeted at me that I have called them out repeated times for their stupidity.
Yeah, they don't get it,
and they still continue it. And that's when I start thinking
it's a bot.
It's a bot.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Boy, that'd be a pretty sad state of affairs if Twitter is that wrecked by bots.
Well, in a couple of months, I'm heading down to San Francisco, which, by the way, I'll have to miss a show. This is in April, though.
Okay.
And the place that I'm going to is right across the street from Twitter's headquarters. So I was thinking about bringing a camera with me.
That'd be really funny.
And walking in and saying, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. And I have a Twitter account.
You got to get a hold of Nunes' staff, get Devin Nunes' staff, and you just got to sell it to him.
Well, I've gotten a contact from a anti-Devin Nunes group out of Fresno. And
there's an anti-Devin Nunes group out of Fresno.
Remember, his district is Fresno, Clovis, South, right?
Okay, all right.
So basically,
that was one of the many.
Yeah,
Memo Madness isn't bad either.
Yeah. What was it again?
Memo Madness.
Ooh, Memo
the
Madness.
Double M's nice.
I like that. And they said to me, hey Chase, we'd love to have you come down and speak at our rally, and we'll pay for your trip.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I'm just like,
should totally do it.
I can't.
Should totally do it.
Unless I can, work it into work somehow. But actually, no, I'm going to be pulling the trigger on a video camera soon, and I think I might be videoing some adventures.
If you're going to be going on a trip, you should definitely do that.
I am going. Well, I'm doing the April trip, but I have a big international trip coming that I haven't really told anybody about. I'm going to tell you guys first.
You
guys want to hear it?
International traveler, dude.
I'm going to pass along some inside info. I haven't really talked about this. I'm heading to the great country of Iceland later on this year.
Really?
Yeah.
What's going on in Iceland?
Nothing.
Oh.
That's why I'm going.
Seems like a good way to. That's exactly. Yeah, give me some immigration information while you're there, would you?
Absolutely. I do know that Iceland and Reykjavik is the most expensive place to live in the world.
Woo! Good. Well, I thought that was Washington or New York or California or
and
Hawaii.
Fuel is approximately $5 to $6 a gallon.
Oh man, fuel's coming up here too.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah. So yeah,
the price of gas is really a bummer. All right, so I think we're
going with Memo Madness.
I think so.
I like that one. It's a good one.
Now listen, everybody, we appreciate you a lot. If you missed the show, I'm going to try to get it up on the YouTubes if they allowed us. I did play a clip in the middle that had a song in it, so I may get us. That may have fracked us. We shall see. My Jupiter Backstage count got dequalified for monetization.
Oh, you know what?
Which is fine.
My personal YouTube count got demonetized
too. Yeah, it's fine. I don't monetize it, so it's fine. It's fine. But I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I kind of forgot about that count. I have like this weird head boppy Mimi thing on there. Anyways, let's get out of here. Thank you everybody.
It's good to be back. Thanks guys. Thanks so much.
Your faces.
See you guys.